YouTube, it's Brad Phillips. We've got the Red Hawk. You're like, what is the Red Hawk? It's the T-7A by Boeing. This thing here is an XFly product. We're loving it. It's a 4-channel that we made into a more channel. Look at this. We got flaperons. We got a steerable nose gear. We're flying this flight on 2700 all the way back to 2700 4S. Smart Pack, we got the AR-631 up here. We're gonna show you how to do all of that mixing. When you put full landing flaps on, check out the steerable nose gear. When you got the flaps off, look at that. You've got huge amounts of play. This thing will turn on a dime. Super, super fun flying plane. Full disclosure, we have one flight on it, a 2200. And yes, I did manage to run it out of battery, so we'll show you that at the end. But here we go, takeoff flaps, here we go. Look at that roll, guys. We did set up our plane a little bit different than the other guys in that I said, I want my plane to roll at the right time. So I folded my gear forward and I am really glad I did it. And yes, to be 100% clear, this thing gets up and goes really nicely for being a 4S. I would love to have yaw authority on this plane, and we are gonna add a clear rudder that goes on the steerable, just like we did on the F-15 by E-flite 64. Great plane. Look at this perfect, perfect little guy. Full landing flaps coming out. Look at this. Look at that. Beautiful landing. It just rolls and rolls going into the takeoff flaps. That way I get my full authority back. And there we go. We're going to come back toward us. Look at that thing going into landing flaps to have a little bit less craziness. And look at that thing, so easy to taxi. It gets along just fine. You want me to take off this way?
Sure.
All right, the wind is sort of cross today. Okay, so takeoff flaps coming in. Here we go. Beautiful roll. Nothing challenging. The 2700 4S seems to be a pretty good fit for this. I like it better on 2200. Because I feel like I'm riding the elevator just a touch. Full landing flaps. Let's watch it slow down here. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. It does really good on 4S, 2200. 30C packs are fine. As with our last XFly, which was serious. It was the serious. I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of ventilation where the battery goes. So we're gonna be opening up a hole for ventilation there. Roll rate's very good. Here, I'll show you right now. With no speed, it still rolls nicely. Our AS3X has this thing locked in. We do have safe. I'm gonna show you safe right now. There's safe. Very good safe. Good safe performance. And AS3X is, of course, way more fun and way cooler. The plane is beautiful. I'm loving it. The gear, you kind of get over it after a few seconds. The fact they're not retracts, a little bit disappointing. Good elevator authority. You can get that thing janked around in some tight spots. No cornholes with this thing for sure. We got our timer set to 5 minutes. I think we're gonna be able to do 6 to 7 on this battery. I tried to do 8 on a 2200, ended up in the corn. It was kind of a corny ending to the show. Oh! And yes, we are gonna show it. We are gonna show it because you'll notice it's flying. All I had to do was rinse off some dirt. All right, here we go. Right behind us, you good? Mm-hmm. It'll do some speed, guys. It'll do some serious speed. I'm loving the way the thing flies. Wish we would have got some calmer weather because I think it would perform better in no wind. But we do have a little bit of wind down the runway, which does help us in terms of landing performance. You'll notice it rolled out for a long ways. The 2200 gives you the ability to kind of get that CG back behind the 51 millimeters that they suggest. I would highly suggest flying this thing with your CG back as far as you can tolerate. Woo, woo. And grass ops for you. No extra charge, folks. Okay, so couple things I just wanted to point out. That's happened to us twice. One thing I've noticed about this plane is that when you come in on a low pass and you get into ground effect, it likes to float, okay? Not unexpected, but if you're like me, you get all excited and you start thinking, ooh, I've got yaw authority just like I do on every other plane. You really don't. Plus, when I go into landing flaps, I reduce the amount of yaw authority on my steerable nose gear because right now it's just a steerable nose gear. That being said, a steerable nose gear still changes aerodynamics and it does act as a very small rudder. We're gonna increase the size of that. We're gonna have a video clip for you at some point. I don't know if it's gonna be on this one, probably not on this one, just because I don't know if we're gonna have enough daylight to do it, but we did it on the F-15. It worked really, really nice, and you can't even see it. You won't even know it's there except that you can control the plane. And you don't have to cut in extra rudders and do all sorts of modifications. Now, that being said, this thing will fly without gear as well, and I think it would do okay, but honestly, let's try. We got a timer going off right now. I kind of wonder if it'll do all right on a takeoff from grass. This thing is solid though. You'll want to watch the build. Oh, look, I bent back one of my landing gears. So I'm gonna bend that back forward. Very sturdy landing gear, given the fact that I just landed that in the grass the way I did. Very happy with the performance. I did have to square these wheels once I pulled them forward. You see that? That's not the way that comes stock. It's straight up and down. Now this one is pointed forward like that, and very, very solid mechanism. Super easy to figure out. I think you're gonna like it. Guys, everything about this plane has been really nice. I'm curious about that though. Is it getting stuck? Feels like it's getting stuck. What's it getting stuck on? What is it getting stuck on? I don't know if it's getting stuck. Do you see what I'm talking about? So we might need to look into that a little bit because it feels like it's getting stuck on something. Oh, there it goes. Whatever.
A little piece of
must have been a piece of
dirt or something.
Maybe it was a piece of corn. It wasn't a piece of corn, people. So we're gonna check the voltage here real quick. By the way, when you install this thing, worst part of the install is right there. Setting that set screw is a pain because you gotta have your tool inside of there. They do provide that tool, by the way. And we are gonna go ahead and set down on the driveway here so we can go ahead and get the voltages. Only drawback of using a 631 instead of a 637T is that you don't have the pack voltage, and that is unfortunate. But we're gonna go ahead and put the XBC 100 battery checker on there right now and see what we've got. By the way, this is an awesome tool to have in the tool bag. Okay. 60, 55, 52, 50. Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Okay, so it's settled down at about 40%. So I would say 40% gives us a little bit more flight time. I think we should go up. What do you think? Or should we just, you know what? We don't even need to go up. Let's go ahead and plop in a 2200 4S. I felt like the performance was a little bit better on 2200 4S. The recommended size from the manual is 2600 4S. And I'm sure 2600 would be fine too. I mean, it certainly flew okay on the 2700, but 2700 is not only a weird size, but I mean, I'm guessing most of you guys don't have one of those. So that being said, it did just fine. That's a Gen 1 pack. You definitely get a lot more flight time. So if you figure on 40% more with an EDF, you're gonna chew through your power faster at the bottom end. So I would say easily 6 to 7 minute flight time, no problem if you're womping on it like I was. Also, just want to talk about reinforcements in every surface, okay? You can't see it very good, but there's carbon fiber here, carbon fiber here. You do have to glue these in. You have to glue these in. You do have to apply all the nose steps, which, by the way, I think the nose steps look sweet myself. And this plane is really pretty, especially at this price point, guys. It's not cartoony at all. I really, really like the scale appearances. We even have cockpit stickers for the instrument clusters on the front and the back seat, which is really cool, I think. The inlets are true inlets. Okay, drawbacks on this plane as we get the battery in. First of all, the inlets for the EDF seem to be pretty good, but there is no ventilation whatsoever for the battery. That is a problem, okay? The only, well, I shouldn't say none whatsoever. Yeah, there pretty much is none whatsoever. The only air that you're gonna transfer through is through the canopy. There are some holes cut in there, you see? Mm-hmm. And those holes will transmit some air through, but look, you're talking about just this little teeny tiny vacuum. You know, it's not gonna be very much. So, I mean, one could open that up a little bit if they wanted to. But I think the more appropriate thing to do would be to make some ram air come in here and really get to where the battery is, because this battery is gonna suffer from heat, I think. Beyond that, I would say just the installation on this was pretty sucky. Everything else was actually very good. And you know how it is on Brian Phillips RC. I mean, we show it all, guys. We don't, you know, like edit out the hard parts.
And when you look at the build and see how long it is, we also showed you how to split out the aileron so that you can do flaperons.
Because it comes with a Y cable.
Yep.
It is set up as a 4-channel by default. And then also we show you how to set up the audio events for the safe. Okay, we show you how to do that. We also show you how to do the mix for this awesome taxiing. Look at this, that's so sharp. Look how sharp you can turn. You can pretty much turn like a real one. And then in landing flaps, I have it locked so it only turns a little teeny bit. So very, very cool. Let's do some back taxiing because it can. We are gonna go ahead and clear the timer and set our 5 minutes right now. We'll turn around. We have a little bit of wind from our right shoulder and crosswind to our left shoulder. It's gonna be maybe not ideal for landing because we don't have any yaw authority. So when I come into land, I'm gonna have to come in, bank it, and then land it on the runway or take the grass option, okay? So here goes nothing, guys. Flight number 3 for us. Look how nice that rolls, guys, on 2200. Almost, oh man, I just love the way it flies. That is so good. I don't wanna say unlimited vertical because that is total BS, but it felt so good. I mean, that was a pretty good amount of altitude before we ran into any delays on lift. Out of the throttle, look at this, look at this. We did adjust our middle axis for gains on AS3X in the first video. We really worked out just exactly where the gains need to be. And yes, we are running in our middle mode for Expo. We ran a little bit higher. We also have a way higher setting as well, but we haven't actually executed that setting yet. Now let's see if we can do bull flight. I don't know. You wanna go over there, camera crew? There might not be enough yaw authority to help encourage the nose to be where we want, but I'm gonna try. Hey, you wanna give me a couple steps back? There you go, perfect. Okay, you good? Okay, just remember, no rudder. No rudder means you need a little bit more room. We're okay, but it's just, I'm trying to turn that little wheel around to get my, my yaw inputs. And I just don't think I'm gonna get enough without making a clear rudder out of it. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, just stay tuned. We'll have a video for you in no time. Let's see if we can put it down from here. That's pretty good approach. Look at that, guys. Turn into sharp to slow it down. I think I went off the edge, so we'll pause and go down there. So the nose gear dropped off the edge, but I'm talking by 1 wheel length. Dang, that was so close. Okay, so here we go. Let's show you what it's like up here, guys. We'll give you a longer runway. This thing really does well. I would highly encourage you to copy us in our methodology for bending the landing gear forward. I feel like that made a huge improvement in the performance of this aircraft. I'm gonna back taxi and come toward us.
Oh, okay.
If you wanna just hang tight. Boy, that thing does look really, really, really good, by the way. It handles on the ground phenomenally. It's very, very stable. I thought we would lose something. Okay, full landing flaps this time for takeoff. Look at this roll, look at this roll. That's full throttle, by the way. We're good. Okay. I know you were nervous because I was being conservative by throttle to make it cool looking. Look at that. Really good, nice clean performance, guys. It's not gonna be a 90mm Viper jet. It's not gonna be the XFly Sirius. Get that out of your head right now. This thing is pretty sweet though. For a $150 price point, that is amazing. No flaps this time. Just coming in to show you it can be done. Oh yeah, she gets on the ground. We're gonna take that as a touch and go. We're gonna kind of bank it. And then we're gonna get up here, get a little bit safer. I don't wanna go into the corn again. Good spool up. One thing about safe batteries, they don't give you any warning when they die now. That's because there's no sag to give you a warning. Okay, takeoff flaps this time, and then landing flaps to get us into ground effect. Beautiful! Reminds me of that Seinfeld episode where the doctor tells Elaine that she is breathtaking. And then he calls the ugly baby breathtaking. And that was kind of like what I just called that landing, beautiful. It's like it's as beautiful as this ugly baby. Here we go, full landing flaps.
6, 5.
Yeah, baby.
There you go.
Man, look at that. Look at that. Yaw authority's perfect at minus 75%. I'm just janking it to slow it down. Okay. Out of that setting, and look how nice she turns. She turns on a dime now.
That's crazy.
Just beautiful. Folks, I'm putting the landing flaps down because it just makes it so tame. Look at this. Look at this. It's easy to control. Now, I just want to juxtapose that to the normal. Look at this. It's a lot more. Now, the funny thing is I haven't had it tip over like an F-16.
No, it's true.
Or the F-18. And these are fixed gear. Not even really comparable. Man, that looks so sweet.
I love the red tail.
You know, it's funny because this is one of those planes where you're gonna see it on this video and you're gonna think just like we did. You're gonna think there isn't nothing special about that thing. And then you start doing some research and you're like, okay, for 150 bucks, what can I get? And you're gonna be like, wow, that thing is way better than the competitors' offerings.
Hold on.
Now, that being said, I'm not trying to take anything away from other good planes. The F-15 is great, 64 millimeter, I love it. This thing is great, I'm loving it, it flies amazing. The F-15, by the way, has the same exact problem as the stock gear on this one. They need to be bent forward. Has exactly the same problem, no rudder, so you have to build something for it. All you gotta do is build a little piece of clear and just mount it on here. You won't ever even see it. And you will have full yaw authority, stabilization, and all that. It's gonna be so cool. It's gonna be huge. We're gonna bring that to you next. This thing is cool. XFly has come out with 2 of 2 planes in a row that have been really good. Now, of course, I know there are the haters out there are saying, well, I don't like it because it's new. Okay, great, fine. But you know what? I'm gonna keep liking it because it's good. Now, that being said, I really like this plane because it's solid. We crash it in a cornfield, 0 damage. Now, granted, that was probably a little bit luck. I think this is the most damage we got was a bump here. This is firm. It's not heavy though, okay? And it's not so strong that every time you bump it into something, the wing breaks. And what comes to mind is the Crescendo Evo. Amazing plane, but good Lord, don't miss a catch because you'll break it in half. Not a big deal, you can fix it in 5 minutes, but you will. That being said, the old Advanced and the Crescendo S, you could crash into a tree and it would just bounce. So that's something to be said for the stronger foam. Sometimes that means it's a lot more brittle and easier to break. This thing is well engineered. It goes together fairly easy. Like I said, only one thing was hard. And then of course, we always are gluttons for punishment. We added flaperons. All we added was 3 connectors, 3 pin ends, and a servo end. That's it. We didn't actually put a whole new cable on. We didn't even have to lengthen it. We shortened it a little bit. Yep. And we show the whole process. If you don't know what you're doing, just watch the video. Don't ask me in the comments. Watch the video, please. And then ask for specific help, and I will help you. Because I won't remember by the time you ask, okay? Because we will have done 10 planes by the time you see this. That being said, I love this plane. Guys, I think you're gonna love it too. I can't wait to see a bigger one. I mean, it's gonna be sweet when we've got lights, retracts. I mean, this thing will hand launch, but to be perfectly frank, I like the way it ground handles so much, I kind of don't want to take the gear off. Yeah. Plus, look how beautiful the belly is. Plus, who wants to ram a bunch of grass into their intake?
Yeah.
Would that be uncomfortable?
Probably, I would think so.
That being said, guys, XFly's doing a great job. XFly, keep it up. We're excited to be bringing this stuff to the world, along with some of our wonderful peers in the RC realm. And we really like this plane. This is cool. This is cool. I actually like the looks of this a lot better than the Sirius, but I like the performance of the Sirius better. The performance on the Sirius is solid. Both have the same problem, cooling of the battery though. That's kind of a big one on a fast jet. Also, I think the Sirius could use a little bit more inlet for the EDF. It seems like it's sucking pretty hard through that scale entry. You know, it's cool when you have scale inlets and you don't have a bunch of cheaters, but to be frank, it's not really that big a deal. You just need as much as you need. Complaints on this plane, like I said, the one little detail of install, the fact that we had to bend the gear, that was a complaint, but it's not really a big deal. It took us like probably 10 minutes, and the only reason it takes 10 minutes is because we film it. Also, the instruction manual on XFly, I must say this, it's complimentary. Their manuals are in very good English. Okay, FMS, same thing. Horizon, same thing. Keep up the good work. Have English speakers as their native language doing your manuals. Technical jargon immediately loses the point when you're trying to do Chinglish. It just doesn't work. You got to get somebody to get in there and edit those manuals. You know, XK, Ishin, they both suck bad at that, and they are good quality stuff. I mean, in that price point, obviously. So really excited to see that. Oh, also, what's the other one? XFlight.com had some Chinese stuff and language barriers. Yeah, not very good.
Yeah.
Thinking of the Boeing 737 MAX 9, the old Supreme Hobby stuff. It's really nice to have manuals from a Chinese-made product that has good English. We really appreciate that here stateside. That being said, what else?
You always want LEDs.
I want LEDs. That's a disappointment. But in a 64 millimeter platform, it's sort of understood. You know, like on the F-15, they don't have LEDs either. I mean, they have this nice little bump in there. It's molded. But one thing I can say about this is the thing went together really, really easy. It holds together. It's got plastic where you need plastic, but not so much that it makes it heavy and boggy. I felt like for a 64, oh, look, I dragged it on the ground. That's unfortunate.
I think that might have been from the corn, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a brass paint, too. It's like a weird color.
Yeah.
I did notice the tailpipe is a little bit weakly attached. Could be from when I dropped it during our unbox.
But it's a low piece count. The screws are all the same.
Yep.
Like
the nut and bolt sack had like 7 pieces in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing.
Well, it was more than 7.
There's like 3 things in it.
Yeah, it was pretty simple.
Yeah.
But no, I love it. And the scale lines on this plane are spot on, guys.
The coloring.
Really good.
Really cool.
Really good. Like I said, when we watched it online, we were kind of thinking, you know, because of course we watch everybody else do theirs too. I thought, you know, I'm not sure I'm into the paint job, but I really like the paint job. I would have liked to see a little bit more color on the main body part, like on the edge here or something, just because it's a little bit hard to see on days like this where you get that gray. But honestly, I could make out what direction I was going. I didn't have a hard time. And then down here, there's enough of a distinguishing difference in coloration here that you can tell if you're upside down or right side up. Also, I felt like this plane just didn't like to be upside down. You really kind of almost had to force it. And that's case in point when you see me crash into the cornfield, because since I didn't have any yaw authority, I couldn't just make a nice, you know, kind of subtle roll while losing altitude and then put it back onto the runway, which is what I was gonna do. I'm just kind of up there in this almost high alpha configuration, and you're dying and the thing just wants to glide. Since you have no yaw authority, you can't kick the nose to the left or the right, and the thing is so stable in that configuration with AS3X, and you know, so you basically just, the only thing you can do is just kind of glide. And I was fortunate enough to get over into the tall corn, which protected it on landing instead of going into the trees. So lesson learned, 2200. I think you're going to be good at your 5 minutes or so would be a safe bet. In fact, 5 minutes would probably be about right, I would say. Do we want to test this with the XBC real quick?
I've got it if you want to check.
Why don't we go ahead and do that real quick for the people? And that'll be kind of where we leave things. We'll jump right into the first video for you after this, I'm guessing. We really appreciate you guys being part of our audience. We have the best audience on YouTube here at Brian Phillips RC, and we appreciate you coming back and buying from the links. It is huge in terms of support. If you don't like buying this plane or that, but you enjoyed watching the video, you still want to provide some support, we've got a Patreon account that we just set up here not too long ago after years and years and years of being beat over the head by requests, and we kept saying no. We finally decided that that would be a way for us to allow for people to support us that really want to support us. And we still think the best way is to just buy the planes, you know, buy the planes, buy the helicopters, buy the electric bikes. Excuse me. You don't know about that yet. There's all sorts of cool things that we try to bring. We also try to bring occasionally what we're doing to keep this property intact, A lot of you guys have flying fields. A lot of you guys, you know, are out in the country. We get it. Everybody's kind of got their own environment where they're flying. And we want to bring a little bit of kind of like reality to this, because what you see is the last, you know, 3 hours of a lot of preparation. And we want you guys to understand that, you know, if you want to emulate this someday, and you totally could, it's expensive and it takes half a lifetime to get in a situation like this, but it's awesome. I mean, we love being here, and we want to help share that prospect with somebody that's maybe in a similar situation that wants to get out in the country, put their own runway in, this sort of thing. It's really cool. So we want to share that with you. We know it's not, you know, like tip top for everybody to see what Brian's doing to take the hay on the property. But we do want to share some of those things with people that are following our life. So please don't brutalize us in the comments. Give us 100% thumbs down. But we're going to be bringing some of that occasionally here and there, just so you guys can keep up to speed if you're curious. And if you're not, just remember, when we put that stuff out, we always have some airplane stuff right around the corner. Because, you know, at Brian Phillips RC, we're going to have something, 6, 7, 8 of them, just sitting in queue, ready to go at any moment's notice.
Yep.
And that is true right now. And there's something coming. You don't know about it yet, but it's going to be awesome. In fact, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4 that have yet to ship to us. And then we have like 4 more sitting in the office. Mm-hmm. Then we have to build a new computer, because our computer is like 12 years old.
Yes. We run a YouTube channel.
We've scrapped
on a 12-year-old computer.
We've scraped by
with
for the
horrendous internet until
recently.
Ago.
Thank you,
Elon.
Thank you, Elon.
Yes.
We haven't said any of our prayers to Elon lately.
Oh, yeah. Are you including in your count the thing that you just sort of said but didn't totally say?
No, that one, no, that's not.
I
don't even know when that's going to get here, so
yeah.
It'll be awesome though. Probably about the first snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting.
Yep.
All right, guys, so this XFly is great. The Boeing T-7A Red Hawk. We've got it set up with the AR-631 smart receiver with AS3X and safe. And this thing is very, very good. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and say this. If you're a newer pilot, you could probably do this. It flies similarly easy as configured to the F-15 64 by E-flite. Similar, but it's cheaper. Well, it's probably really close, but they just raised their prices too. So guys, and also I'm gonna take 30 seconds here and talk about this. Prices are gonna go up. They don't call me and ask. They're like, hey Brian, how much should we jack the prices? Trust me, they don't ask.
You're bleeding.
I'm bleeding? Ah!
Sorry.
They don't ask. And if they did, they might hear some select words. So please don't blame me for that. There may be a small inflationary reaction going on at all of these companies. So keep that in mind when you're putting this up against some of the competitive brands. I'm not telling you which one's better, because I honestly like them both a lot. And I like the F-15 very much. This one is way more detailed. It's probably slightly better as configured, but remember, we're using some sweet Spectrum stuff in here. We're using good batteries. We're using good receivers. We're using good transmitters. You know, if you pair these things up, guys, they can make just about any plane good, unless it's a Dynam.
Yeah.
And then it's a Dynam still. But that being said, guys, we got links to this. You can buy it right now. This plane is sweet. You don't have to pre-order it 3 months out from now. You can buy it like today and have it shipping to you. I have no idea how long that takes, so I probably shouldn't say. But anyway, guys, good plane. Thanks for watching. There's just a little bit more flight coming. Stay tuned. All right, YouTube, I'm back. This is the AR-631 case, and this is a thing from work, okay? We had this sitting around. This is the Easter egg video that you're supposed to get at some point in the future, but I insisted, and the camera crew did not reject my request, and therefore we're doing it right now, quick, because the sun's going down. And we're gonna put a 2200 back in this. It's already actually in it. It's a 50C, full disclosure, not a 30C like before. I'm just gonna cut this up and I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm gonna do to make my little rudder. It's gonna be super easy, and then you guys are gonna get the full shebang. So you've already seen it without the rudder. You'll see at the end our little crash, and you'll see how this could have helped to avoid that. It's actually, I'm kind of wondering if I need to cut this shape out. That'd be kind of cool. But, because then you get some strength from that fold. But it might be almost just as good to just try to take this and see if we can get that to work. Let's try that first. Just do a straight. Sometimes simple is best. It just doesn't usually make the cut on my channel.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, so that, and remember, we're not going for looks because you won't see it, it's clear. And that's part of my criteria for doing something like this. If it was not clear, there's no way I would ever ugly it up with this. But it's pretty sweet if you can get this, get the benefits of a rudder on a plane that doesn't have one, and I'm talking in minutes of effort. Okay, so now I'm just gonna shape it a little bit, almost like teardrop style. Okay, so I've got this shape here, and I've got a fold in it, so that gives it some mechanical strength. And if I can get it to go down into that, that'd be actually pretty good if we could do that. And then obviously, like, this is working, so I can just move it. I don't know if that's gonna work there. And you won't really ever see this. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that a little bit shorter. So now we've got it cut like that shape. And I'm basically gonna zip tie it on there, but I think I'm gonna go in front just a little bit. And you won't even know it's there. You really won't, except that I'm showing you that it's there. Okay, so I'm gonna make another cut right here. Actually, no, I don't think I wanna cut that. I was thinking I might cut that to give it a pocket to stick through. Actually, we can do it with a drill. That's what we'll do. Don't stab your finger doing this because you're in a hurry. Maybe, unlike every other time I'm doing anything, you could do this and not be in a hurry. But again, I'm not gonna ask you to do something that I wouldn't do. Okay, so then X-Acto knife. The X-Acto knife is going to allow us to cut a little pocket that's gonna go into the top of the spring here. Okay, so knife, pocket between those two holes. Very carefully, just go from hole to hole. And we're gonna see if that's enough to kind of slide that down in there. I think I might have got it. Yeah, see, it's just kind of sliding in there. See how nice that works? Now we may not be able to do, we may not have to do anything. See how nice that works? That was like literally a minute.
Actually, it was 3.5.
Yeah, so for me, that's literally a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna do one zip tie down here and then one zip tie on the top. This happens to be the whole size that I need to get the zip ties through, which is like 7/64 or something, I don't know, whatever it is. Just put your zip tie up to next to the drill bit and see what it is. Okay, cool. So also, when you get ready to fly this, make sure you check all your yaw corrections are in the right direction, okay? Because prior to this, you wouldn't have noticed it except for on the ground, which is gonna be lesser impact. Okay, so one zip tie up top, that holds it true. And a second zip tie down here to further hold it in place. You do not want that to catch and damage otherwise some other aspect of the flight performance. I'm having trouble getting that through. Oh, it's because I'm hitting that plastic. Okay, yeah, that little pocket I made. Okay, so now these two zip ties come through. You want to give them a couple of different angles when this is done here, camera crew, that'd be great. That'd be great. Okay, so normally I would use side cutters, so I'm gonna do that. And then we're probably not even gonna clean up, we're just gonna go straight out there and fly. And we may only get, I would say conservatively, a couple of quick passes because we're just losing daylight like crazy. We had one of those weekends where, you know, we wait around for a plane to show up and then it shows up. And then get this, the weather sucks. Wow, weird, haven't been there before. Okay, so let's check this out. Sweet. You guys hear that? That noise is not a very good noise. Okay, so now let's flip over. Let's just show you what it looks like from this angle. And then let's go ahead and lay this down and see if we can check See if there's some reasonable explanation for what that noise could be. Just looking from above. You know what I bet it is? Could just be the servo. I don't know. I don't really care. We're gonna go fly because this thing flies great. We have a 5-minute timer set. We'll see you on the runway. Throttle cuts off. We got a little rudder. Checking control surfaces. We're good to go. Takeoff flaps are on, so we still have lots of yaw authority. On landing flaps, it's gonna be less. We can change that later if we want. Sweet, sweet. Still very good. Yaw performance is great. That was all rudder, guys, all rudder. Little bit of roll being induced. Look at this. Out of the throttle, mostly. Look at the yaw. That's from the rudder. So good, guys. Look, that's from the rudder. That's from the rudder. Nice, smooth, relaxing correction of the nose. Look how much tighter you can fly that thing now. Look at that. Look at that, folks. This thing just doesn't stall. It's amazing. Now, we all know that's not true, but look how tight I can put that thing. Little bounce and go there. Man, I'm loving it now. I definitely can yaw the thing. Man, that is really, really, really big improvement. Super, super simple. You guys can use the container that your receiver came in. Takeoff flaps here. Look at this. Look at that. Yaw performance is okay. It's not amazing. The slower speed, of course, we don't have a very big rudder, but we do still have a little bit to get that nose in tight spots. Okay. Now remember, when I put on the landing flaps, I'm gonna lose some of that yaw authority, but it's okay because you're not gonna be doing a lot of yawing. Okay. Full landing flaps coming in. Very limited yaw authority now. Oh, we'll try grass landing for you. There you go. Okay, so what have we learned? The yaw authority is okay. I want to do that again. Pause. Okay, so real quick, this one got bent back just a touch. If you don't bend your gear forward on this plane, it's not going to roll like mine does. It'll roll abruptly and after you think it should. If you guys copy all of the setup techniques we did on this plane, you're going to really like this plane. And if you copy none of them, it's still pretty dang good. Okay, here we go. Full landing flaps here for takeoff this time. No safe, just AS3X. Beautiful. Out of the flaps altogether. Using just the yaw, a little bit of back pressure and a tiny little bit of ailerons there. Loving it, guys. Loving it, folks. This thing is flying phenomenal. It's actually easier to see now than it was. That's so weird. Even though it's darker. Mm-hmm. I like it because we had two different occurrences where it kind of got to pointing at us and we just didn't quite have the airspeed to bank and yank the way we wanted to. And we would have been able to resolve that super easy with a little bit of yaw input. And so here we are doing it without. This is so much better, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Nice, clean rolls. Really good, high confidence maneuvers. Now, I'm not saying this plane is going to be competitive with your, most advanced, sophisticated flying planes, but I'll tell you what, it is pretty stinking good. Takeoff flaps here. Let's bring it in. Use that yaw, get us over the hump. A little bit of throttle there. Full landing flaps. Boom! On the edge. Look at this, guys. I'm not trying to land on the grass, but let's just say it was. If that was on the grass on purpose, that would have been a sweet landing. Not bent at all. Guys, I'm in love with these landing gear. They're actually great. This one keeps bending back a little bit. That's fine. I can live with it. And by the way, look at the deflection on the flaps. I could probably do a little bit more and get away with it, but for now, I'm satisfied with it. This plane just really has it all now. Guys, we added the rudder. Super easy. That's with landing flaps. Without landing flaps, lots more play. No flaps at all. Really good amount of control authority there. I feel like if you did that a little bit bigger, you might get a little bit more impact. But it does induce a little bit of a roll, and that's probably why these guys didn't do rudders on the plane, because they knew it was going to roll the plane. That being said, you can do contrary aileron input to your rudder if you really want to make it roll flat, or yaw flat. I don't think it's necessary on this plane. I think really what I want is when I get into a turn, I want to be able to coordinate that thing and get that nose down. Okay, banking yanks, you don't need it, but I really like it. And it looks a lot better flying with it, I think. And by the way, that took us what, like all of 10 minutes, and that includes filming it. So I would say for now, guys, this plane is definitely a winner. We've added a couple of bells and whistles of our own, and we think you should too. Guys, 631, AR 631. Smart Pack 2200. That's the size to go with. Don't do the 2700. I feel like the 2200 4S is way better. If you have a 4000, it's going to be heavy. You're not going to be able to make CG very good. There is actually a cavity up here where all the wires go. If you have a thin enough battery, you might be able to stuff it back there. I wouldn't recommend it, okay? Definitely could use some cooling for the batteries. Definitely the worst part of the install was basically putting in that one screw. Other than that, great plane. You have to put all the nose steps on. Be careful. I kind of got one of them a little bit cattywampus, and it was on a red tail, which really ticks me off because when you plop it on there and you're like, oh no, it's not quite perfect, just drive you nuts. And you're the only guy who's ever going to notice it. But now that I've told the world, you'll notice it too. Anyway, guys, super easy mods make a big impact on this plane. If you decide to run them exactly like we do, I didn't even come out of my middle setting on Expo and rates, and it was really good. And I did make one adjustment, and that is in the first video, which you haven't seen yet because we crash into the cornfield for extra fun and excitement. We will show you that whole experience next. But don't forget, if you're wanting to buy this thing, please buy it through our links. You'll be supporting our channel, our family, and of course, helping to keep our channel funded, which is really important to us, and we really appreciate it. If you don't want to buy the plane, we have a Patreon site. We also have a PayPal site if you don't like monthly giving, because Patreon is like a monthly support thing. Also, the fee structure is much higher on the anything below $3 per month. If you're concerned about these types of things, I would be if I was you, just because it's money wasted. But anyway, don't worry about that. Just do what you can do, okay?
Yep.
And you don't even have to do that. Just buy the planes. That's what I would do. Just put all your money toward planes. You don't pay any extra. We get a small commission. We're settled. You're settled. Addiction settled. Addiction continued. Everybody's happy. It's like a huge group of enablers. So we're glad you're here being enablers for us, and when we wouldn't have it any other way. So guys, by the way, XFly, this plane's good. You guys barely missed the mark on just a couple of small items. I mean, barely. I mean, most would argue that's not missing the mark. But I would say cooling on the battery is kind of a big one. You might want to look into that because the Sirius had the same problem. And that's a big, expensive battery, like 185 bucks expensive. So I would like to not destroy it. Oh wait, I didn't use a 7,000 in there. I used a 5,000.
Yeah.
All right, $165 battery. Still, that's a lot. That's more than this plane, for goodness sakes. By the way, this plane, you can be flying it for a couple and $200 probably, provided you have a radio. So good plane, good price. Mods aren't hard to get it to where it is here. And if you fly bone stock out of the box with a non-gyro equipped receiver, make sure you run your rates real low, like 60, 70% to start, because she will go crazy on you, I've heard. All right, that's all I got for you. Guys, thanks for watching. One more clip for you. Enjoy. Laugh your heads off. Come back for more. YouTube, it's Brad Phillips. We've got the T-7A Red Hawk. It is a new trainer by Boeing. This looks so cool. This is coming to you from XFly. Super detailed. Yes, 64 millimeter. And no, you don't have to have a 6S LiPo for this one. It flies on 4S, which is awesome for those of you that aren't wanting to spend $700 or $800 on a plane right now. And yes, we did set ours up with flaperons. This is going to be so cool. We're excited to bring this to you. We've got this thing set up, decked out. We brought our landing gear forward a little bit. We'll show you exactly how we did that. When we have our flaps deployed, we have barely any play there, but then when we're out of them, we have tons of play. Check out this turning radius. It's super cool. I just love the fact that you can taxi this thing in the super tightest spots, and we will show that more. There are quite a few no step labels that you need to include there. Look how sharp you can turn this. Okay, so
Almost turned
It will turn pretty much on a dime, just like a real one. And I love the way that it is going to pivot for us and roll because of the way we have our landing gear. Takeoff flaps deployed, AS3X and safe equipped. We're in AS3X right now when we are ready to rock and roll. We have an 8-minute timer set. You ready, camera crew? Here we go. Oh, yes! Beautiful roll. And we're out of the takeoff flaps there. Man, that thing is feeling actually quite rock solid. I think I need a little teeny bit of trim. A little bit of back elevator. There we go. Yeah, baby, she stands free now. Pretty good for 4S. Here we go, you ready? High speed pass. Very good, very good. Good roll rate, not anything insane. Guys, we're gonna talk about the way we set up our Expo. Let's show you some safe action here. They're safe. Look at that. Amazing. Out of the throttle, watch how it glides. We're in safe right now. Rolling to the left, limited bank angles. There's no rudder on this thing, but guess what? The steerable nose wheel still gives you some yaw authority. In safe, just to show you the awesome flying capabilities. Oh, yes! Awesome. Okay, out of safe, can't handle it anymore. Just beautiful. Love the way this thing is flying. Got a little bit too much gain on the aileron channel, so I'm gonna just turn them all down a little bit. Let's try some slow flight performance. Full landing flaps here. Look at this thing slow down. Whoa. That is amazing. I can't believe how much it's yanking around back and forth like that.
It is pretty windy.
It's quite windy today, folks. Ample power. The red tail is actually quite easy to see. Can you take about 4 steps back? Perfect. Stop there. Come in toward me, please. Thank you. Right there. Takeoff flaps only. Landing flaps. Woo! Think I found the limit there. Elevator correction. I don't think I have it quite exactly right. Did you see what happened there? Mm-hmm. I got a little bit too slow. And then I caught some wind, baby. All right, I want you to go to the middle for me. Thank you. Folks, really, really loving the way this thing flies. It's surprisingly easy, almost hands off. It looks really good in the sky. Takeoff flaps do give you a little bit extra elevator authority. I feel like probably I'd actually really like to have a little bit of rudder action, and I know exactly what we're gonna do to create that. We did it on the F-15 Eagle, which is a 64mm by E-flite. Takeoff flaps here, we're gonna see if we can slow it down without falling out of the sky this time. Oh yeah, that was great. Guys, XFly is bringing a lot of bang for the buck on this aircraft. I know you're all thinking, well, they're new. I don't want to invest in that new company. What if it sucks? Well, we're here to tell you it doesn't suck. It's good. It's really good. Yes, I would have liked to see some retracts, but guys, it's a 64 and it's like $150. That's nuts. I hate even talking about price because who knows when the price is going to change. But here's the thing, guys. If you're watching this right now, it is going to be probably one of the cheaper planes that's available. Yes, plop a nice AS3X equipped receiver in there. You're going to be probably about $250 all in. And to be perfectly frank, that's about as cheap as you can get right now because everything has gone up by all the manufacturers the last few weeks, which is painful for us to admit. Look how controllable it is. I don't even have a rudder and I'm using that steerable nose gear as my rudder. Guys, we don't have a huge area here. And it looks sweet. This is on 2200 4S. I need to probably try to land maybe. Oh no, I got 3.5 minutes left. Takeoff flaps. Going over the vampire killing zone region, full landing flaps. Grass hops. It does it just fine. Wow. Oh my goodness. Okay, throttle cut's on. We're at 3 minutes and 15, so we got to respect our time. Everything on this plane has been behaving well, with the exception of just a little bit extra gain on the roll axis. I want to reduce that. So throttle cut's on. I'm going to go into the forward programming, connecting, gyro settings, AS3X. See how it says fixed adjustable? They're all adjustable. On roll, I want to make that fixed. I'm going to go back. And then I want to go into capture gains. Now look what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to roll. Whoops. See how that changes? So now I can turn the rest of it up. And then I can go back to fixed adjustable and change this back to adjustable. And then we're ready to rock and roll, guys. Okay, walk out of the menu structure. Obviously we have safe, you saw it, and it works. So if you need if this is a beginner plane for you, all we got to do is turn on safe. I think we're gonna try taking off, but we'll reset back at the end of the runway. We'll try it with the landing flaps. I didn't feel like we missed the mark on the elevator correction. It's pretty much level.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So I think bending the gear is a good move though, guys. I think ours rolled better than any of the other guys that were doing the reviews on this early release. So if you have a chance to watch our build video, it's long, we go through a lot of details. You can skip to the end if you want to see how we did the landing gear. It's super easy. Takeoff flaps are on. We're gonna try taking off from here. We got about 2 minutes past the timer and we'll be safe at the 8. Full throttle. Oh yes, that is sweet. I don't know if you could tell how awesome that was, but that was safe. A lot of limits on the upward access there. You know what I think too would be cool in this plane? I think getting that battery back a little bit would help a lot on the pitch axis. Because while it is rock solid now, full landing flaps. Oh yes! Wow. That is so good, guys. Okay, I think we're gonna put the battery back. Now this is a 2200 4S, and we have a 2700 4S. And we were thinking maybe the extra weight might be helpful, but to be honest, I don't know if we need any extra weight. We just need to slide it back a little bit.
Back a little bit.
The CG is almost at the edge of that plastic. I marked it. So we've just been kind of treating it like the edge of the plastic is so close. And you see where we've got this? There's a bulkhead back there. I'm just gonna push into the bulkhead. Yeah, let's try that for a minute.
There's plenty of room to...
It's warm in there. We need to cut a vent hole in this, just like the XFly. It's strange, the XFly has great amount of input or inlets for the thrust, but in terms of cooling the battery, both of our XFly jets could really use some intake to cool off the battery.
Are you just gonna do like one more go around, kind of like you just did?
I have like 2 full minutes of flight time left.
Think so?
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm just going by what the timer says. Okay, throttle cut is currently on. I'm gonna try without safe this time. I'm in AS3X, and that last one was with safe. That's why I rolled out so perfectly, okay? So here we go. We got takeoff laps this time just to show you how it works. Full throttle. Oh, yes! Beautiful roll, folks. Okay, there we are. Whew. So, the camera crew was concerned about battery life, and my timer was set for 8 minutes. We were at 56 seconds past, minus our time on the ground. So really, I think 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes on 2200 4S would be a safer bet. The good news is, corn is your friend. We do a lot of cornholes on this channel, but corn can save your planes, and let's hope it did this time. We'll be right back. We'll show you what it looks like in there. So for those of you that don't understand how tall and huge corn is, this corn is immature still. It's not quite a full-size kernel. It's gonna be grown for a few more weeks, and then they're gonna let it dry back. And this is at the edge So it's the shortest corn in the entire field right here.
Yep.
So that corn is probably 13 or 14 feet tall. So yeah.
That'll be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
So anyway, we will take you along, but you won't see the whole ride.
Let's go in.
You wanna go into this?
There's like a bigger row right here.
Yeah.
Where it turns.
Okay.
Can we start that
I
way?
guess we'll start there.
Okay.
All right, we'll show you when we find it, okay?
Okay.
Welcome
go.
to the jungle. You guys see this? We heard it.
I see red.
Yep. Now listen, this is how we were finding it. Okay? Well, that was like 5% throttle. Okay, here it is, guys. I don't think we even damaged it at all.
Probably not.
Look at that. Look at that, guys. That is incredible. This thing is rock solid. We got more stuff on the back than we did on the front. I mean, I did kind of take it in for a nice little landing, but I can tell you this right now. That was not planned. That was a mistake. I took off, and as soon as I got to about maybe midway up my roll, I'm like, huh, seems like I don't have very much juice left. So yeah, anyway, I ran the battery out. We're gonna find out how much I ran it out. But the thing is, this plane flies awesome. So we're flying it again right now. Thank goodness it's not broken. Let's pause and come right back when we get out of the jungle.
Okay.
All right, guys. That's the worst damage. A piece of mud on the tail.
Yep.
Seriously, it didn't even scratch it. This is incredible, guys. You see how big that stuff is. It's not very fun to get through. Oh, and then by the way, the whole time we're walking through, I'm thinking, they just sprayed a bunch of chemicals on this like last week.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably go take a shower.
Better last week than like now.
True that. We're gonna switch batteries. This thing is sweet. And the only reason that thing went down there is because I screwed up. We'll be back on the runway with the 2700 ready to rock. Okay, so this is the one.
Well, that would probably do it.
One for it. Okay, so 8 minutes is a little much for a 2200 4S. And yes, all I had to do was rinse the tail off. That is what I call a repair. So we're gonna try a 2700 4S, same 30C rating, and we're gonna see if we can even get this thing to CG out first. And then you know what we could actually throw a voltage alarm on this. It's got the balance lead on it. But, because we don't have full telemetry on the AR631. Okay, so we're just gonna get that plugged in. We set our timer to 5 minutes now, down from 8.
We'll just check it.
We'll just check it at 5. It's not like you have to stop flying. The cool thing about 2700 is it fits in there really nice. I don't know if I have that quite as tight as I'd like. The battery cavity is pretty sizable for a small jet, but it's still a pain to put the batteries in. So we're just gonna plop that in there right quick here. Get the leads in so it jams everything in. There's really nowhere for anything else to go or to happen. I mean, we could put a voltage alarm in there just in case. Nah, let's just do this. Let's just do this. Okay, so everything is booting. All right, throttle cut's on. Since it's booted, let's check the CG real quick. We got the CG marks here, and we'll see how it goes. I think 2700 is pretty good. I felt like the 2200 was amazing, so I hope we don't give anything up. Also, we will for sure be doing a mod so we can have a rudder. I could have avoided that issue if I could have not had to depend on bank and yank at that moment. I would have just yachted around and stayed flat and come right in. So we'll see you on the runway. Your tip is Brad Phelps. What is this?
A box.
It's a box with excitement in it. You've already seen what this is, but we're just opening it for the first time. Oh yeah, baby. 64 millimeters of pure delight. It's the Boeing T-7A. Red Hawk, I guess? I don't know what it's called. I just know it's a new trainer. It's a new trainer by Boeing. It's one of the first ones they've made in a while. And this is pretty cool. Okay, so this is 750 millimeter wingspan, 960 millimeters length. And looks like the cats are already in the box. That always makes sense. 2840 3200 kV brushless outrunner motor with a 40 amp ESC. Looks like this is a 4-channel. It runs on 4S 2600. Build and test time 20 minutes. We're gonna put that one to the test.
That's cute.
Yeah, I know. I don't think so. So there's a piece of tape back here. We're gonna cut that. As usual on Brian Phillips RC, we are going to open this thing up. This is by XFly. We'll have links to buy it in the video description below. You may have heard about that before, a time or two in the video. We just started reviewing planes for XFly in addition to the other brands that we do. The Sirius is pretty awesome. It's seriously awesome. But I think this one's gonna be seriously awesome too. Okay, so they must have watched our first video because look, the manual is not folded. Very responsive action by XFly. Pretty sure that's not why. Okay, comes with, what the heck? Well, it looks like an F-15, that looks like an F-18 from the top, doesn't it? Isn't that crazy? That profile, the nose is thicker, but look at that. And then of course, single engine. So anyway, this is a couple pieces of tape or something like that. And then there's a piece of Velcro for a lipo. Yeah. Oh, no steps.
Oh.
It's no step. Okay, cool. So, and then here is the provided manual. You want to show them a couple of pictures of that? I'll lay this stuff aside. Just going to cut some tape while you show them pictures. These cats love these boxes, but it just drives us nuts. Super distracting when we're filming. Do they look pretty good? They were good last time.
Yeah, they look really similar.
Okay, good deal. All right, so we've got a knife. We're gonna cut all this tape. There's tape on either side, just like most of these planes that we do. There's this kind of weird side down here. Really good, sturdy packaging. Ours comes straight from China, so it's getting the full trip. I mean, yours will come from China to North America if you're buying it stateside, and then it'll go out to you too, but it'll come in a container. Ours is coming like ground shipping all the way from China, ground and air. So it takes the full brunt of the trip. So we've been pretty impressed. I mean, we didn't have any packaging issues on the last one. Okay, so let's give you a close-up of this wing. Lots of mold release bumps here, but then on top it's just very few. That's pretty sweet. Looks like a pinch hinge, really high quality ball joint here. Very big piece here. This is an opaque wing. I'm not going to be able to show you how the spars lay out. Looks like there's one spar here. It's not a very long wing, but we can do this. It's got a little tiny bit of bend on it. That's pretty good considering it's a short wing. Really scale looking wing. Granted, most people, well, I shouldn't say most people don't know a lot about the T-7A. I mean, maybe you guys know a ton about it. Maybe you're involved in the program at Boeing. But it's not super popular plane yet because it's a new plane. And so this is, get down.
You took away their box.
Took away their box and they're all feisty now. Okay, so here's the other wing. Kind of slips in like this. See the way that pocket goes? Ooh, you can see what the servos are now. Okay, so it looks like a 9-gram plastic gear. It's an XFly model. 1.2/1.6 kilograms. Kilograms per centimeter. Okay, so if you guys don't know what that measurement is, at the end of the lever arm, there is a certain amount of torque being exerted, and it can be at 5 volts. That's the first measurement. It'll be 1.2 kilograms per centimeter, okay? So if you had 10 centimeters, okay, then it would be 10 times 1.2. So you could exert 1.2 kilograms of torque. But you're not gonna go 10 centimeters out. You're gonna go out like maybe 2 or 1.5, okay? So that's the math you can do. and you can reverse engineer and figure out what type of strength you're gonna have on your control surface. So if you were to take and exert weight to this surface, whether that's, you know, like if you were in a wind tunnel and it was flying along and there was air pressure going here and here and here and here, kind of like when you stick your hand out of the window and you're, you know, and driving along in the car and you do this and you can move it up and down, then you can figure out how much strength you're gonna need for torque loading, okay? So that's what that is. So if you're building a custom plane, the easiest way to test that would be to actually load this with some weight, and then you can just kind of simulate that load. But most people don't simulate the load that way. They just kind of find another model that's been built and then they copy it. Okay, so the other wing looks just the same, very clean decals. If you look at that, it's similar to the decals we had on the Sirius, really, really clean. They look like they're wet decals as opposed to stickers. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's true. Really sturdy landing gear, nice detailed wheel, spring on there. Probably won't do much good for a plane this size because look how stiff it is. I kind of doubt that's going to bend. It's got retention flats here and here, so that's good. Got the fuse in there. We'll get back to that in a minute here. Okay, so this has vertical stabilizers. There's no rudders on them. Okay, there is one carbon fiber spar to make them sturdy, and they are quite sturdy. Love the colors. Colors look really good. This is one of those where you've seen it on YouTube, like this channel, and you're gonna think, I don't know if I'm crazy about the colors. And then you're gonna get it in person, and you're gonna think, actually looks pretty good. Okay, here's the, probably the steering controls. A couple of screws. So the nut and bolt sack has no nuts and a few bolts, a set screw, and then whatever that thing is. Looks like a spacer ring. So we'll see what that is. Then very sturdy seat clips on the end to keep everything nice and tidy. If you look at that, if you're gonna have fixed gear on a plane, I want them to be sturdy, okay? This is gonna be similar to kind of the F-15, the E-flite F-15 in terms of its performance and capabilities, I'm thinking. I hope it flies as good because that thing flies really nice, unless I fly it into a tree. Carbon fiber spar. Nice and sturdy, very, very light, very light. Not tons of strength, but it's not gonna need it because there's not gonna be a ton of G-load on there. Okay, horizontal stabilizers and elevator. Really good paint job. Really solid paint, not super thick, but still very good coverage. There is a carbon fiber spar there, as you can see. Kind of strength you can expect out of there. You're not gonna load the end of the wing like that very often on a plane. It's gonna be an even load. There is a point where you can make a plane strong enough that you're just throwing weight away. And I think XFly obviously have some good engineers working for them because every time you put them together so far, they've gone together really nice. And boy, that is cool. Wow. That is so cool. It's so weird looking at this because all the details, and to be honest, when we found out we were gonna be doing this as an early review late because it didn't get here in time. Ooh, look at that though. There's glue. I don't know if that's an early sample thing or what. Hopefully it's not a permanent fixture. I think the pilot looks possibly a little bit big. Good instrument cluster, show them that. Well, when we found out we were gonna be doing this early, I was pretty excited, but I was also like, I have no idea what a T-7A is. And then I started watching the videos, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. Because it is just a new thing. It's a new trainer. So I think that their recognizability is gonna be a factor. You wanna show them down the windpipe? Now, there's another really cool thing. There's one cheater on this, and the cheater is also where well, not the retracts, but the landing gear go. Accessible, removable access hatch to get out your EDF fan. And of course, now I've seen it too. Oh yeah, that looks good. I love that these are actual inlets. That is so cool. Yep, you can see right through. I don't know, can you see it?
Yep.
That is so cool, guys. I love that scale detail. And it looks like the landing gear are kind of back behind where the wing spar is. And the wing spar is late in the wing. So let's talk about that for a minute. Actually, you know what? That's all the different pieces. I'm loving the way it looks. You can take or leave the plane, you know what I mean? It's because it's a new plane. It's not something that we've had a lot of time to have an opinion on. Unless, of course, you're working at Boeing and you've been working on this project for a few years.
Or you're watching this. Oh.
Don't forget those. They're in this pocket here.
Just 2?
Yep, there's 2 of them. So those are going to be for the elevators. Almost certainly, yeah. But anyway, so like I said, take it or leave it for now because I don't think a lot of you guys probably, kind of like me, you don't really have an opinion of the plane yet. So we're going to learn a little bit. Obviously, if it's a trainer for the military, it's going to fly good. Or it's going to emulate the flight characteristics of the plane that they're trying to get their pilots ready for. So we're going to see how well it works. The interesting thing is that thrust tube on this thing is actually quite a bit bigger than the engine on the real plane, I think. It's actually really small. So for what it's worth, I think it's cool. I think it's neat looking. I'm really excited to see it fly. This plane's supposed to be able to hand launch, but just, you know, before we get everything built, just kind of thinking about the way you're going to hold it. There's not a lot of girth on the bottom there. You may have to kind of hold it funny in the front. I'm just trying to see it, like, where would you put your hand on that thing? Because, you know, like, there's just not a ton to hold on to. It depends on how it wants to yank out of your hand. So I'm just thinking, like, with throttle, see how I've got it away from my head. You got to think about the wing. If you kind of launch it like this, it's really easy to see right now. I just don't know exactly where you would throw it.
Yeah.
So that might be a bit of a challenge. But I know some of the guys were talking about trying to do hand launches and stuff. And in terms of assembly, also, before we get too far into it, these wings, that's the way they go, like this. So they go up under like this. Okay, so there's glue needed. And you got to go both sides like this. And then there's the top wings, the vertical stabilizers where the rudders would be in real life. And they just slip down. Now, they're not bolt-on. And I know why they did that, because they need to keep the weight where the weight is. But it would have been really, really nice to see this be a bolt-together assembly. So XFly, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. I'm sure there's a lot of people that think, yeah, that should really have been bolt together. And I'm one of them. So that being said, it's not a deal breaker for us. I mean, we got China glue sitting all over the place. So without further ado, I don't even know if we need a plane stand for this. Do you think so?
Well, if you're going to flip it to do that horizontal stabilizer, it might be easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
I can grab a plane
Probably
stand.
do it without, but.
Well, I was just trying to show the people, whenever we do these reviews, we try to do it in such a way that we show the minimum tools necessary, because, you know, like, I'm not going to get out the airbrush and say, you know, you need an airbrush to finish this plane.
Right.
But I am going to show you the bare minimum. And then if I really, really want to add something, I usually try to show it later. Let's talk about how these glue on here real quick. I got some China glue. I always write the date on when I opened it. So what is it, like August 6th or something like that right now?
Yeah, something like
So we were supposed to review this pretty much last week, right? Mm-hmm. And so we didn't get it in time, which is a bummer. But anyway, the whole thing is, if you mark your China glue when you opened it, this stuff does have a bit of a shelf life once you open it. So I'm just going to slather that on there. I think they recommended medium CA. So good for them. I'm using this. Why am I using this instead of medium CA, camera crew?
Because it's in the drawer.
No, I got medium CA in there too.
Well, you usually like to let it kind of
I like China glue better.
sit. Yeah.
And people are always like, well, what's China glue? And you know, some of you guys, I think you get the impression that it's supposed to be like derogatory or something, but it's not. It's just what everybody calls it.
It's always unlabeled. It just is.
It's just on a white tube. It's actually, yeah, and that's the thing is, we recommend 2 different types of China glue alternatives if you don't actually have China glue from, like a China glue from a kit. This came from a Dynam kit. So Dynam was good for something. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I'm just spreading the stuff out. And then there's a gnat. Yeah, come land on it, please. I'll squish you between my wing. So what I was getting at is that the China glue that we oftentimes recommend is mucilage from Hobby King. And so like if you're buying something from Hobby King, pick up some mucilage because it's super cheap. It's like $3.50 or $4, I don't know, with everything going up right now, it's probably more like 20. But even if it is 20, just get it. It's a big tube. Get the large size. There's a large and a small. The smalls are like 10 times this size, and then the large is like the size of a small toothpaste tube, something like that. And it works really good, but it comes out of the tube thick, and it doesn't last long. If you get it and you don't use it quick, like it'll dry before you even open it. Okay.
That is one of the nice things about
the little tubes.
You
can use them up and they don't go bad, and that's part of the reason why we really like these ones. And you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna just kind of roll that up on the edge, but I don't wanna go so far so that you have that finished edge that's getting close to. So I'm just gonna like literally set it down and just let it set. I kind of got gooped on both sides of the Q-tip. Q-tips work really nice for this. You can tell how long you have to work with the stuff because as you spread it, the Q-tip starts to stick, okay? And then you can tell if it's set up or not, okay? And of course, I'm a talker, so I talk a lot.
Really?
Yeah, you may have noticed. Oh. So you see that? I put it on there, and now watch this. Watch this.
Ooh.
See how there's little strings there?
Yep.
Check this out. I'm gonna walk those strings down. They're super light, and then check this out. Second time in, okay? Now check this out. Check this out. Look. I'm gonna try to catch it if it falls, but look, it's holding up the whole plane now. So, I mean, it's sliding out. I'm not trying to like pull a fast one on you. But the whole idea is I'm just showing you it's quite strong already. Now, if you use medium CA, it's gotta be gap filling CA because it's gonna fill in some of these minor indisparities in the foam work, okay? But I like this stuff better because I feel like it's a better bond. James Bond. You knew that was coming. Okay, so now the other thing too, if you get a plane like this, see, I can't even hardly pull those apart. And in a couple hours, it will be irremovable, unremovable. I don't know, whatever it would be, the correct word.
You can't take it apart.
You can't take it apart, but you can. And I'm gonna show you, if you ever need to take that apart, all you have to do is take kicker, and because this is a painted surface, you're gonna have to be careful because it will compromise your paint. You'll take that kicker and you'll run just a little teeny bit of it in there, and you can actually unglue that sucker. And you can take it off in one piece. And then you can take kicker and cover the whole surface you put paint on or glue on, and you can wipe it out of there. And it'll be a mess, but it will come off and you will go back to clean. Okay, so there you have it. So that looks pretty sweet. And here on Brian Phillips RC, you guys have come to appreciate or hate, whichever one it is for you, super long videos. So we make the simple complex and the complex super complex here on Brian Phillips RC. So if you want this plane for your very own, all you have to do is buy the thing from the link in the video description below. We try to make that easy because the way that we do that is we have links, you buy from there, we get small commissions. You're like, but Brian, you're a sellout then. We can't ever trust you again because you didn't like airplanes before. You used to be into cat trees. Okay, yeah, I loved cat trees before we had cats. But no, seriously guys, you know, we were doing this stuff way before we were working with these companies. And that is how we fund our channel. So, you know, what we're working toward is much bigger than what we're doing right now. And that's why we ask for your support in that way. We feel like it's the most equitable way to even ask for your support. Because to be honest with you, in many ways, you know, just like other people that share, that bring themselves to the small screen like us, we really do put a lot of effort into this channel. And, you know, a lot of it is things that maybe we would do on our own anyway. Like, for instance, building this plane. I would definitely build this plane myself. But we don't know if you would buy it yourself if you weren't having them sent for review. Okay, fine. You'll just have to wonder about that, I guess. But the thing is, I just want you guys to understand that we bring the truth and honesty to this channel, We cover planes that we like, and there are occasionally planes that are maybe a little bit outside of our area of expertise, like 3D planes, for instance. That's one I always tell you guys about. Okay, so same thing as before. We're just gonna set those here so that they're over the kitchen sink and the glue doesn't get on stuff. And then these have a bit of a pocket, so you have to kind of squish the stuff into the hole. You have to kind of work it and then squeeze it until it goes in the hole. Is that about right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna use up like this whole tube of nasty toothpaste.
Sometimes you get a little excessive with your gluing.
Yes, I just want it to be really glued right. So anyway, getting back to the point, I had a couple of different interesting conversations with people this week, and as I always do. And that's the other thing that you guys, most of you get and appreciate, and we really appreciate you for appreciating it, because it's probably the hardest part of this channel, and that is dealing with comments and interactions with thousands of people every week. It's the most time-consuming part of this, and we really like it because we help people that are new, that really don't know what's going on. It's like, the guys that maybe don't have a good local hobby shop, or they're really getting back into it. Whoops. Or maybe they don't like the guys at the hobby shop, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's happened before to a lot of you out there. And that's part of the reason why some of the hobby shops are maybe not being as successful as they could be. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, we put a lot into this channel. We're trying to grow it into the next step where we can really bring some even better quality stuff. And we're always looking to grow and bring more different products. There is no way that Megan and I, the camera crew, could bring this many products to you if we weren't working with these companies. It would not only be unfinancially feasible, there is no way. I mean, if we bought every single item that we reviewed on this channel, it would be impossible. I mean, we'd have to have $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in income just to pay for the stuff. So you need to understand something. We love this, and we bring you guys the latest and greatest, and we really like to share it and bring you guys up to speed when new stuff's coming out. And we also like to fly it and show you, our first thoughts on it, plus you guys can grow along with us. Remember, I've only been doing this flying thing for 6 years, but I've been in RC my whole life. And I've been an aviation enthusiast my entire life. My appreciation for aviation has, believe it or not, gotten a lot bigger since I started doing this. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, if people are willing to support us and help us live our dream, and at the same time meet our objectives as a channel, which are to help avoid one and dones, people that buy planes that are too beyond where they are, help us to bring people that are returning to the hobby up to speed with the current technology, help answer lots of questions from new people, but then also help to propagate a large, huge crowd of people so that we have legislative power, because we don't right now. We're dinky. Even real pilots barely have a voice because there's such a small percentage of the population. Everybody just thinks we hop on an airliner and go where we want, and it's no big deal. They don't think about all the stuff going on around them. So we need to be people strong. And the companies that sell these sweet airplanes, they have to make money or they won't be around. Even if they're in China, or if they're in India, or if they're in, Taiwan, or if they're in Montezuma, Iowa. It doesn't matter where they are. If they're not making money, they're not going to be around. And if there's not people flying planes, they won't be around, because your grandpa is not going to live forever, and your dad and everybody that's aging in this hobby is not going to be around forever. So we got to buy planes, lots of them, hundreds of them every year. Okay, so enough of it. It's kind of like a morbid thing today.
Kind of went off on it.
Look at this. I feel like I'm hitting something in there. It's weird. It's like a ball of foam. I hope it couldn't be a servo lead, because there's no. Oh, there's a carbon fiber spar right there. I just saw.
All the further it goes?
Well, it's just, you push in on that and you tell me what you think. You feel that? It feels kind of squishy. Like there's a ball of foam maybe got in there. Here, let's try the other one. See what type of depth we get. It just kind of almost felt like there was a wire in there, but you can see there's only one little short lead there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so I got a little bit more into the weeds than I meant to on that last little string of conversation. But, you know, this week was just kind of a weird week for that. We had a handful of interactions with people that were maybe not super fun. Brown's forward. And we just want to remind you guys that we put a lot into this channel, and we have a overwhelmingly positive response from the vast majority of you folks that are here with us watching. But it's a big, complicated world out there. Man, wow. That lead has got me a little bit nervous. I want it to pull through. Oh, and then by the way, if you're wanting to do flap-arounds on this plane, the one principal issue that I can see with doing flap-arounds right now, since we haven't even looked in to see where the wires are, is that you would have to probably, I'm assuming we'll have to split a Y cable out, and this might be a Y cable. So you see what's happening to that cable as I do this? Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get it to go in a little bit deeper so that when I do this, I definitively have that wire tucked in. See that, guys? Get in there. So anyway, doing these unbox build radio setup videos, sometimes we get into the weeds, certainly a lot more than some of our competitive peers on YouTube. And, you know, we don't live in a cave. We watch all the other competitors' stuff because we are enthusiasts just like you. And when we come late to the show on a given thing, that was a set screw that rolled out on me there. Be careful when you're doing that. There's only 4 screws. Looks like a 2mm drive on that. Oh yeah, that's going to be so easy. Wow. So anyway, this past weekend, we were able to kind of watch some of the competitors and see kind of what they did and what types of experiences they had with this plane. So we're a little bit more well-versed in what we're doing today. And that's a 2mm, okay? So let's see how that works. Yep, 2mm. So we're going to show you the whole process like we always do in long format. And we've been kind of working some different game plans around for as we grow the channel, like kind of exactly what we can do. That one doesn't want to start. I don't know why, but I think what I want to do is I want to rotate the plane again. I rotated it so you could see what I was doing on that one glue joint. All right, so can you come over here where you can be out of my way too? So you see what's going on? I got to press this in. Oh, that's got to be really tight. That's going to have to be pretty tough. That one went in no problem at all. So I would say start with the front one if yours does the same thing as mine. And the CG is supposed to be really close to there. But anyway, the other guys that do these reviews too, I mean, everybody knows they're out there, do a real nice job, and we have a lot of appreciation for what they bring to the table, and we are very fortunate to be in that club of people that are trusted by these manufacturers to show you what's coming next. But we are also very truthful, and we'll tell you if they suck. Like when we have problems putting stuff together, we're not like, oh yeah, you might need to spend an extra 5 minutes putting the wing on, and we actually spent 3 hours doing it. I don't think it's gonna be quite that bad, but this one is kind of being a pain. Oh, I think I got it. I think I got it. I just gotta get it a little teeny bit further. There you have it. Okay, show the people a wide angle of what I'm doing. I have it on the plane stand, and I've got them in a noogie zone here. If this was replace head, and you'd be doing a noogie here. So I think we're good there. I think we got that. How's it look on the front?
Wow.
I felt that thing and I thought it was a servo wire. I'm like, geez, I got the servo wire caught. Nope, after all that dinking around with the servo wire. This wing is set up in such a way that there's, like the plane stand doesn't really work great for it. By the way, Tom, one of our longtime supporters, actually sent this stand to us as a gift, a nicety. Oh wow, look at that. Look at the landing gear. Look how that comes out. You want to turn over here so they can see what I'm talking about? See how it's pointed forward instead of being straight up and down? That's kind of cool. Interesting. Okay, cool. Sorry, we'll come back to this. So Tom, thanks for sending that. You'll never be able to live that down, no matter how many years pass by. And I was very reluctant to buy one. Same thing with these drivers. Did Tom also send those? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tom also sent these drivers. Not all the little screwdrivers. Those ones came from China. They came directly from China. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. All right. Ooh. Ooh. So it's been kind of a weird week, guys. It's been a weird week. It's Saturday, so technically it's still this week, right? Mm-hmm. It's the weekend. That's the other thing, too, is, man, we had family stuff going on Friday night. It was exciting. We had a cousin with a kid that was graduating, so it was like a second cousin. What is that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It was one of those things, one of those relatives. Not a distant relative, but a kid of a non-distant relative.
Yes.
He's a kid. He's a kid of a non-distant relative. We've got that down. It's just Genealogies by Brian Phillips. Yeah. Yeah, that's the guy that shows up at the family gatherings. That's the chick that shows up at the family gatherings.
The problem is, I'm not sure if he was even born when we got married, and
why would that matter?
Really old.
What? Oh.
I was graduating.
Oh yes, that looks so cool.
That's a good size.
It is a good size. There's something to be said for. Okay, so this is, how big was it actually? It said on the side of the box. It said right here.
Wing, well, where?
Wingspan 750 millimeters. Okay, so 750 millimeters is not really that big, okay? But then these jets, like up next to the Sirius is a long one. So look at that. You want to show them from the front there? See the wingspan there? That's like 1,100 millimeters. Big difference in size, big difference in storage requirements. And boy, that thing looks good without those landing gear. It's very tempting to just take this to the skies. And it does look sweet, actually. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird because when I first saw it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm into the styling, but it's, I mean, this is a scale plane, guys. So it's not like, you know, it's not like XFly's like, let's design a plane from scratch. No, they're designing it after a real one. I don't know if it's licensed, but whatever. I don't really care. Note to all RC companies that want to copy legally branded planes like this Boeing 737 MAX 9. If you send them 100 emails and they don't get back to you, just go ahead and do it anyway. Because I don't care if they get back to you. Don't worry about it. You're in China. You're not going to get sued. Well, you might get sued. But anyway, okay, maybe you'll get sued. But all you have to do is just change one letter, like Boeing.
Yeah.
Boeing.
No one will ever know this.
No one will ever know, even if you use the exact model number of the plane. So honestly, I'm not sure if this thing is branded or licensed. I would probably assume it's not. And to be honest, I am a huge sucker for scale planes. It's really like what I want. It's what I do. It's what I would do if I had a chance. Okay, so one cheater too. That's interesting, just one cheater. I heard some grumblings that the Sirius needs some more cheater. It definitely needs a cheater to let some hot air out from the battery. So I think we're gonna be cutting in a cheater on that one at some point so we can get some air sucked in over the battery. There's only one little teeny tiny hole over the nose gear, which at first you don't really think about it, and then you're like, oh crap, this battery gets hot. I wonder why it's so hot compared to the other planes that we're flying right now. And you're like, it couldn't be that much more power because it's an 80 millimeter compared to the, you know, other recent ones. Okay, so I'm putting my screwdriver in here just to, pry that thing. Okay, there you go. Just had to get a little quick dip the tip, pop it out. Man, that sucker's in there good. Pretty sure I'm out of the threads. Oh, no, I wasn't. The back is actually thicker. There we go. All right, so it's pretty obvious which side's which. It's not labeled, but you'll know. Also, note to self, XFly, it would have been really cool for that to be a quick release wheel. That being said, the nose gear is probably not going to be a quick release, like just pull it off and then you can do, belly landings and whatnot. So we're gonna fly it with the wheels because I like wheels up, wheels down. I far, far, far prefer it. But I do understand that there's a size class requirement because you have to get so big to be able to bear the extra weight and extra cost. But it is a little bit disappointing to not have flaps. I'm kind of a flap guy. The good news is here, we have inboard ailerons. Now, depending on how this thing lands, if it is anything other than glorious, then I will split those wires off and set up flaperons. In fact, if the leads come in and go straight to where the receiver is, and then they have a little Y cable at the end, then I'll probably set up flaperons anyway. Now, if you guys are new to the thing, if you're new to the thing, you know the thing, RC Aviation, or if you're just coming back to it, flaperons are when the ailerons, these things, which are used to typically roll the plane, so one goes down while one goes up, so they're typically controlled by one channel. You say, go, and they both go. One's pointed this way and one's pointed that way, so they're doing the same thing. So what happens is that rolls the plane. Well, when you have flaperons, then they actually act as independently controlled channels, and you say, go, or you say, go down or go up. And so you can create spoilerons if they go up, which will bleed off lift from the wing, which basically makes you drop. And it also speeds you up if you're going forward in a certain characteristic. And well, they can also create drag depending on how far you deflect them up. They create separation on this wing, which lowers the lift. Anyway, if they go down, then you change the shape of the wing from this small airfoil to this big airfoil, okay? And that can help to reduce the separation on the wing here. So it just depends, and you can do a little bit more research on kind of what that looks like in reality. Also, this plane would have been so sweet, but I understand why there's not lights, because they're trying to hit price points. They got to be competitive with the other big boys like Horizon and FMS and all of those companies. So I feel like planes should have LEDs, period. Okay, magnet. Even if they're just cheapo LEDs, they don't have to be awesome. Like, these are really good LEDs, okay? But this is the bare minimum LEDs, red, green. That's it. I think there should always be 3 LEDs on every plane. There should be a red, a green, and then a white, or like a landing light, because what that does is it helps your brain to triangulate the location, okay? Red is right returning, so the red would be over there, the green would be over here. Planes coming at you, you can see those. Planes flying away, you can sort of see, but a lot of times you obstruct the image, the viewing angle of those LEDs. So then that third light keeps it, so you've always got a picture of what direction you're flying, and then you can figure out the pitch of your plane if you have like a tail light or something. Jets are a little bit tougher for that. That's why Gooniac makes some afterburners for these, which are really cool, the fire booties. And I'm sorry, Ray, but RC Geek also makes afterburners. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll have him send one of those and we can do that too. But anyway, here it is. Here it is inside. Look how freaking simple this is. Here is your ailerons, and ironically enough, what is the deal there? I can't tell, is it unplugged or something? Why is that one there? I don't know what's going on there. Can't tell. But anyway, it looks like they want you to put the receiver up here and then the battery back here, which is what all the rest of the guys that were doing this have been doing. Okay, so nice Velcro strap. Looks like an EC3, which would be like the 30 amp size class battery. They work really nice with the new Spectrum smart batteries. This plane is probably going to be flying on 2200 4S 30C. We may actually go ahead and do it on a, we have a 2700, but I don't know if it's 4S. That'd be a good size because that's what they called out. Oh baby, look at that. We got a 2700 4S. So maybe what we'll do is we will go Gen 1 2700 4S, and we'll go Gen 2, no bounce lead, 2200 4S. So we're gonna get those started right now real quick on the smart charger. If you guys don't have one of these things yet, they are really good. Okay, so I'm gonna plug in the balance lead on the Gen 1, which is something you don't even have to do on a Gen 2 because they don't exist. Okay, so plug that in, it'll automatically start. Plug this one in, it will automatically start. Pretty cool. So channel 2, then it jumps over here because it's initiating the charge. So there's 2 channels. This also has the IC5 connectors as well. So there's IC5 and IC3, just like this. So if you don't quite have the budget for that, you can go to this. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is a lot better value because you're going to get 2 chargers for not quite the price of 2 of these. And it takes up the same basic real estate. Okay. If you don't have the budget for either of these S2100s are great, but you do need to get the firmware update cable. If you do that, and you'll have to get adapters. The adapters from IC3 to IC6 or IC5, like this, you can either build them, but just keep in mind they're not free. And if you need to have 2 of them, put that into your price consideration to get up to one of these. You may be cheaper to get this than if you have to buy the adapters. So I'm serious, guys. They're very proud of these things.
And if you're thinking, but I don't have any 6S batteries, just wait longer.
Just wait longer. Yeah. If you can get a 6S charger, everything is kind of going, in the jet environment, it's going to 6S. Now, why is it all going to 6S? Because 6S gives us the right power to weight ratios for some of the planes that we've been flying on 4S for years, and really, in my opinion, they've been severely underwhelming. We're finally getting to planes that have the balls that you expect them to have. Right?
That's always what I think.
You were thinking about balls? What? When did this happen? Okay, so I don't know which way this goes. There's instructions and stuff.
We could
look at those. I don't know. It seems kind of lame. Oh, yes. That is beautiful. Oh, did you notice something about this plane? It's not tipped backward. That's so cool.
Oh, nice.
I love a jet that doesn't tip backward, but you want to know why?
Why?
Because the wheels are aft of the CG. They're behind the CG. That means when you're taking off, just like the F-15, you get up to speed and you're going, you're like, why is it not lifting? Why is it not rolling? Why is it not flying? What's going on? And you get this, whoa! Just like that. Is that pretty much how it goes?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, good. So yeah, man, that's cool. That's the machined lever arm, and then you put the set screw in there. Oh, it's actually straightforward. Oh, I know how to build it. And then this is a bushing. But I don't know if the bushing goes, oh, look at that. There's a little half round there. Oh my goodness. This is a really well-engineered plane, guys. It's so easy. I don't even need to open the instruction manual. And yet my wonderful camera crew perused the manual before I even got it out. Look at this. We've got the plane built, essentially. Okay, so now this is a weird control horn thingy-mabobber. And it's gonna go like this. How in the freaking heck are we gonna get that screwed on there?
Where is that going?
Yeah, that's going, no, I know, but you haven't even seen the worst part yet. Check this out. Drop this on there, drop it like it's hot. Okay, then this. Oh, hey, look, it's like they thought of everything. They were like, oh no, don't need to get that in there. Okay, here it is. That's how you get it in there. Because I had this thing out, Tom. Tom, you let me down, I'm sick of it. You didn't let me down, Tom. I hope Tom knows that we're talking about him in front of his back. What?
Probably scared him away.
He's like, I'm never sending that guy any more free things that he needs badly. Tom, I apologize. I repent. What? Look at that. I don't have the steering wheel straight. Look what I'm doing underneath here. See this? Okay. Okay. That's straight. Now look up above. Now I'm going to just straighten this thing out just like that. Okay. So now there's no rudder. There's no rudder on this plane. You may notice there's no rudder. If you didn't notice there's no rudder, now you'll notice there's no rudder. So I did have one thought about this plane, and that is if it needs some more yaw, which you may not, it's kind of a banking yank configuration. We've done rudders before, we'll do them again. but I'm not gonna add them with the servo back here. We're gonna do it with a clear rudder on the nose gear. All right, so what am I doing?
I don't know. What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Where are you going?
I'm getting this.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a servo tester / smart battery tester, okay? It's an XBC 100 battery tester.
Battery needs to be charged.
So what? No, that's what smart batteries do. They self-discharge.
I know.
That's the key. Okay, there's your servo connector. There's your problem right there. So now I'm just gonna stick this doohickey and that doohickey. And I'm just gonna, okay, so the brown is the negative, and you can kind of see there, if you have super good eyes, the negative is toward the camera crew. Okay, so towards you. You, the viewer. Get in there. Oh my goodness, I can't get the alignment quite right. I'm just gonna have to really work at it. Oh, I can't stick it in. Jeez. Oh my goodness. There it is. Okay, now I'm gonna click this button. Then I'm gonna scroll down to servo test. Boom. You see a hop? Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, look, a sweep. It's like, I command you to move. Pretty cool, look underneath.
I'm trying to show them both at the same time.
Show them the thing. You know, the thing. Pretty cool, huh? That's cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna click to the center. It's snapped to the center. Now, these do not be in a straight, they don't need to be in a straight line. Okay, let's just get that out of the way right now. What?
I don't know, whatever you said was not right.
It was not right?
It wasn't.
It doesn't need to be lined up straight. You just need the wheels to be straight. But I have a sneaky suspicion that when I get, see what I'm doing? I'm just rolling it. I'm just rolling with the punches here. See this? Just like when I do comments.
Except. Where? Oh, that goes in the back.
Yeah. I mean, if you get permission.
Well, no.
All right, so.
See that empty flower vase? Okay.
It's not empty.
See the flower vase?
Listen, Tom got us things to put in there, okay? Tom, you've already solved the problem. I'm not gonna let her talk me into this. Putting flowers in there. Who would put flowers in this thing? This is for screwdrivers.
Where do you put, what else do you put in crystal vases?
Screwdrivers, obviously. All right, so here goes, man, I tried the 1.3 thinking maybe it wasn't the right size.
So did that one not work?
No, the 1.5 just felt like maybe it was a little sloppy. Yeah, it worked perfect. It worked so perfect that I'm actually using a different one to finish the job.
Okay.
So you see what I'm doing? I can only go so deep in there. So I'm gonna go underneath the Velcro. Oh yeah, oh boy. Yes, oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yeah, don't hit the servo tester right now, please. It breaks something. This is awkward, see?
I know, your giant hands are in the way.
Are you making fun of my giant hands?
People can't see.
Would you turn it then? Here, I'll film. I'll film. See? See?
No.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Way to go.
I didn't want to be on camera. Never gonna forgive you until later.
Never. Here, do we do it?
Yeah. Try it. See if you can get it.
Am I turning it like a regular screw, righty-tighty?
Just try and see what happens. Hey, don't screw up my plane. There's like, don't ding that spot.
I'm gonna screw up your plane. Oh, goodness.
Are you getting it?
Yeah, totally. Not. Wait.
See? It's easy.
Oh, I turned it.
You did?
I did.
I'd have had enough of this charade. Had enough of this charade.
I'm getting it.
It's nice, Mike.
Thanks. I am actually getting it. Do you believe me?
Are you really?
I am.
I don't know if I believe you. I think you're lying.
I only have like 2 little threads left sticking out.
You have 2 sticking out?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is it going
Here.
all the way in?
Trade me.
I did it. You're welcome.
Yeah. Did you really get it?
It's in further than when you started.
Okay. Well, let's try this then. I'm just gonna go back to the correct tool for the job. Okay, so here it is. Did you think you got it anywhere?
I did.
I don't think you turned it at all on.
Okay, people in the comments, tell Brian how much more it's in now than when he started.
No, I'm serious, Law. I don't think you even turned it once.
I did. It was sticking out. I can't even see it now.
Oh, you brought it from like out a couple threads. It's a little awkward, folks.
It is a little awkward.
XFly, if you're listening. XFly, if you're listening. You might want to rethink where this bolt is. It's a little challenging. I don't know how you would do it a lot different, to be perfectly frank, but it's not real easy. It's a little tight for the American hand. Okay. I hit the spot.
Just throw that anywhere.
All right, so now that it is still going somewhat straight, but not quite, even though I tried my best. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that, that's pretty good. Look at the turning. Yes, that's pretty cool. It's like a 3-point turn. It's an automated 3-point turn. Look at that. Don't even need your Ford to do that. Okay, back to the center now. Okay, so now that we have done that, we have proven to the world that it can be done.
Uh-oh.
What are you doing, plane? I was all excited about, complimentary about how you didn't do that. Now you go and do that immediately. That is a pretty sweet canopy. Did you show them the instrument cluster?
I did.
Okay. So it looks like this one here, if you were interested in putting a little more detail inside of there or replacing the pilot, then that's another place where you could try to use that kicker, which is a product that's used to instantly set CA. Okay. Ooh, good magnet too. Really good magnet. And then it does sit down. I like it when planes sit on their mains, but we are going to add a little bit of weight to the back. That looks pretty sweet, actually.
It does.
Okay, so I need to get those control arms in, but really we're not quite ready to have them on. So let's see if we can get them as far along as possible. Okay. So the manual calls out a certain hole position for that, I'm sure. Okay, look guys, that was a pretty low piece count. We are just opening the manual on the last stage of installation. This is not a toy!
We skipped the must read.
I didn't read it. Hey guys, everybody read this first. Okay? We have found, oh look, the LED lights are at the root directory. You have to ask God himself. God, where are the LEDs? Brian, there aren't LEDs, you moron. Look at the plane. Thank you, God. Hold reference for aileron flap servo linkage. Okay. Aileron flap. Interesting. Hold reference for elevator servo linkage. So they want it in the second to furthest outmost hole and on the outside hole. Okay. Very nice. What the heck is going on here? What the heck is going on here?
What?
Oh, that's the elevator. I was like, are they showing flaps? Like, was there flaps and I missed something?
Oh.
No, they just demonstrate the ailerons out further. Because I'm thinking, did they like have a design change, like a last second design change where they took out my precious flaps? I was all excited about the flaps. Oh no. Look, I don't want to make holes. I don't want to make holes. I don't want to do it. I may have to do it. Look, these things are so huge. Huge. They won't go in.
Oh.
I have to open up the hole with a drill. Oh!
It's so far away.
We were so close to not even using one tool except for a plane stand and glue and Q-tips, of course, and
a 2mm driver.
So, all right, well, we got to get the drill. We'll come right back. All right, so 1/16 of an inch looks like a pretty good fit to open up that hole. That should be about right. In my particular Bosch drill, I have a hard time hanging on to the small bits. See, the chuck doesn't hang on very good. So I have to, it'll sort of hang on. So if you have problems, put a little tape on there. Anyway, the whole point of showing you this is because you want to go in one hole from the edge and open up that position. Okay, I am not a big fan of having open holes because I always felt like it was going to weaken. Okay, so I'm going in like this. Okay, then I'm going to rotate it so it's out here and then just drop it like it's hot right here. I'm going to hold this. I'm going to probably need to use pliers to get that thing spun because it's on there pretty tough, rough and tough. Then we'll have the assembly as far as we can go before radio setup. Now, radio setup, of course, is kind of a hybrid event on a plug-in fly. So if you guys are new to the hobby or if you're just coming back, just a refresher, plug-in fly means that you have to provide your own receiver and your own battery and, of course, your own radio system. In this case, I'm going to be using an NX8, which is a Spectrum offering. But you could use Futaba or OpenTX, Radio Master, whatever it is that you're into. I don't care. You could take one off of a little crashed eSheen if you really want to throw away a plane. So this is what we're going to use, NX8, which is going to work great. We're going to walk you through the steps of forward programming, and we've got two options. Option one is super, a cost-effective option. It's going to be a 4-channel AR410, no antenna, very simple. Going to be good for lower range applications. So no, you're not going to fly like 3 miles away with this, okay? This one is the AR631. You can get this without an antenna for like $5 less or $10 less. I don't know. They just repriced everything, so I have no idea what this stuff costs right now. But this you can get without the antenna. It's called a 630. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. You still have the same telemetry, AS3X and safe. No AS3X and no safe, which is why you almost never see me using these. I have a 6-channel like this, which is an AR610, and I used it once in one super fast sailplane, and I basically screwed up, and I was like, yeah, why am I doing this? I want AS3X, and I'm going to use AS3X. So I like AS3X, I like stabilization, and to be perfectly frank, the smaller planes, they need them more. So yes, you can change your rates and you can set up expo on these computerized transmitters, and it really does help to soften the way the plane flies. But as soon as you get into wind conditions, they are a lot harder to fly. Now, do I need safe? No, but I know a lot of you guys that are new pilots, safe is the difference between getting a plane or not. So we are going to show you setting up safe on this plane. Also, if you have like an old crashed plane from E-Flight or something like that, if you got an AR636B, I still have one of those, so we might be using that in a future upcoming project. But my big thing is I want to be able to have the prospect of doing flaperons, but I may not do flaperons on the Maiden, just so we can show you how to do it without flaperons and how easy it is to add flaperons. Now, if you come inside here with me, we have 2 elevators, we have 1 rudder, and we have, this must be throttle, and then this one's ailerons. Now, the reason I say we have 2 elevators is because it's a splitter, because there's a left and a right elevator, okay? So what that also tells me, and this might be a good time to bring this up, is that those servos, one of them is reverse and one of them is not. And I'm just looking at them right now. Yeah, one of them is going to be reverse. Now, I don't know if they reversed it with a servo signal reverser or if it is an actual reverse servo. Most people that are just new to the hobby or getting into the hobby for the first time, people that have been around for a long time understand servos go one direction. And then reverse servos go the other direction, okay? Usually it's because you have applications like this where they're mounted in a tight spot and you don't really have a lot of flexibility. But a lot of times what manufacturers will do is they'll like rotate the servo this way. Well, it's still spinning the same direction. Well, you can't do that. So you gotta take the output shaft and like flip it like that, and then the output will actually be opposite. So it's very challenging to do in certain applications. A lot of times the symmetry of a flap configuration causes some turmoil. So what they do is they just point both of the servos with the output shafts here, then they move in the same direction so you can control a flap. But then if they are opposite directions, then they act as ailerons, okay? This is ailerons only, just so you know. The only way to flip that to flaperons would be to separate the wires. And I'm not sure where they have the wire, to be honest. So we're gonna flip this back. Actually, we could just set it on its wheels, I guess. We don't really need this. It does get it a little higher. Maybe it's easy. You'll have to tell me if it's harder to film that way, camera crew.
Okay.
So in looking at this, there's this little tray that's glued in here. And so I'm struggling to be able to tell exactly where that goes, but they go way back here, like way, way, way back here. So I would be amazed if that's not the aileron plug right there that I'm looking at, right there. I'm guessing that is. I'm getting the forceps. I wanna do some experimental surgery to figure this out.
Oh, that little plug. Yep, we can
Yep.
see it now.
Exactly.
Because then everything else goes way back in that channel.
So guys, if you're new to this, flaperons are gonna help you to lower the stall speed of the plane. That's where the plane starts falling out of the sky, essentially. And it's going to increase your ability to point down and bleed off speed at the same time. That's basically what you're gonna get with flaps. So these are forceps here, or hemostats. I'm just trying to figure out if that wire is the wire. Could be the elevator wire. I just can't tell. And I don't wanna unplug it because that could be kind of a pain. So I'm gonna actually reach in here. Oh, there we go. Oh, dang it, it's just an extension. Dang, okay. So that's throttle. Looks like it's throttle. Son of a gun. Okay, so that's the throttle channel. All right, so I'm just this thing might need to come out to get those wires separated. Let's see which wire's which. That one feels kind of beefcakey. Yep, that is the throttle, so that comes off the ESC. So we aren't concerning ourselves with that. Right? So I'm just gonna slide that kind of back up where it came from. I'm gonna support it and go forward. I'm not clamping onto those wires and exposing the copper. Then that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4 more wires. One of them is gonna be an aileron. Nothing? There's an aileron. There's an aileron, guys. I'm fishing. I found an aileron, one of them. Oh, check this out. Look, there was a loop in it, in that cable. Okay, so let's see if we can find the other aileron. Don't think so. That's an elevator. Okay, so this is an aileron. Okay, there's another loop in that. I don't know what that is. That's the other aileron. Okay, those cables are probably pretty long. So I'm trying to teach you a trick here. The trick is, this wire's chased under a bunch of glued parts. You probably don't want to have to take them off. It wouldn't be that big a deal to take them off and glue them back in. That might be the easier approach, okay? But if you don't want to take these off, I understand. I'm with you. I don't want to take them off either. So there's another trick, and that is if you want to take and separate this, and then you only have to put one wire through, you can actually clip this wire. You can pull these little tabs with an X-Acto knife right here, lift them up, and then each of those wires will come out and they're clamped together. Okay, so you just need to separate off one and then build an end on the other, and then blammo whammo, you're ready to rock and roll. Okay, you don't even need to pull that wire through. Okay, in fact, you know what? None of the other guys show this stuff. Why don't we show this stuff? Can tell the camera crew is instantly excited. So, I think that's what we're gonna do. We'll show you guys how to build another end so that you can separate your ailerons, and then you can do flaperons on this plane. You may not need flaperons, but we're gonna do it anyway. Stay tuned. All right, so before we get started with the flaperons, I mentioned that you could use that AR410. That's not going to be supporting this setup because you would need throttle, elevator, aileron 1, aileron 2. Maybe you can, actually. Oh no, there is a rudder still. So that'd be 5 channels. So if you're doing rudder, because there's a steerable nose gear, ailerons, elevator, and throttle, then you're good. But if you're adding the additional aileron to make flaperons, then you do need to go up to something that's a 6 channel, because there's not really a 5 channel that I know of in the air. There used to be a long time ago, but not now. So we're gonna use the AR631, plus I wanted to show safe setup, AS3X, and with safe and AS3X, this thing should be glorious, and we can go ahead and set all the gains and all that good jazz, and we will show you all of that. But I just wanted to make sure to point that out real quick, because when we separate these 2 wires, then we're gonna be committed to that, or we can add another Y cable, okay? Now, not all Y cables are created equal. I just wanna point that out to you. This aileron Y cable is split off up here. Some of them split on the other end, okay? It just depends on how it's configured. Sometimes there'll be a Y cable back here and then an extension cord that goes through the plane. Okay, so in our case, we're fortunate we can do it this way. So I have an X-Acto knife. I'm gonna show you the exact steps we need to take. Take special attention to note where the brown wire is, the yellow wire is, and the red wire is. So we're gonna take this X-Acto knife and we're gonna separate out these wires, okay? It's not as hard as it looks when we're filming, because like we're filming, so we have to be in awkward positions to do like 100% of this stuff.
Can I turn the flash on? That's right off.
I don't care. It's fine. Okay, it's helping me see too, actually. And I don't really care which wire you start with. I'm just grabbing whatever one comes up first, okay? Because you got to do one of them. Okay, so now you're going to do all 3 wires rather. So you can see that little piece has an up and a down. If you put it in wrong, it'll still work, but it won't stay in there. So let's demonstrate that now. That's wrong, so it won't clip in. And so when you push this into your connector, it'll just force this out, okay? Whereas if you push it in right, it's gonna bite. That little finger will go down. See how it's clicked? Now, when you plug that into your receiver, it's not gonna push the wire out. So why do I show you how to do that? Well, because the best practice would be to pull this wire out, just like this, and get it out of the way, like this. Then you can take and you can very carefully cut it with a pair of strippers or side cutters or scissors. You do have to get a pretty tight cut here. So I'm going to separate back my orange or yellow wire, and I'm going to get real tight. Doesn't matter which one you get, just cut one of them. Okay, that's no longer a Y cable, right? So there's only signal going to one of these 2 servos. Okay, we're going to repeat the process. Now, to make it easy, I'm just going to slip that right back in till it clicks. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you don't want to take this out and cut it, the risk you run is that you'll have a vulnerable spot where you can short out. Okay, so it's like an extra, 7.5 hours on a Brian Phillips RC video, but for you it'll be an extra 30 seconds. So just do it. Okay, see that? Now it's pulled back. You don't even have to pull it out necessarily all the way, but I'm going to pull it out just so it's easy for you guys to see. And then I'm going to pull up and away, and whichever one is easier to cut, I'm going to cut that one. Just like that. Then there's really virtually nil for the risk level of that shorting out with another contact. Now keep in mind that ailerons are redundant in that there's 2 of them. If one fails, you can still roll the plane. If the other fails, then you're screwed. Then you no longer can roll the plane since there's no rudder. You won't have any authority over the roll axis, so it's a big deal. You'd crash. But the thing is, on this plane, you need to remember that you're not going to have redundancy in your flaps. So if you would ever have an issue where like you cut both of these wires on accident, then you will make the plane uncontrollable. So you need to be a little bit careful on this step that you don't accidentally cut through both of these or weaken that connection, or if you find that it's broken there or something weird, Just this is the time when you would address it. Mine are all fine. There's no reason for me to address the things that don't exist. So I'm confident all that is good. Okay, great. So that's ready to go. So now it's just an aileron. Now, I don't know which one it is, but we could figure it out real easy, and we're not going to do it now. We're going to do it when we hook it up. X-Acto knife can be capped back off. Now, how do we take this and make an end like this? There's two different basic ways. One way, while this is all de-energized, I'm going to clean this up and just make them all exactly the same length. That's obviously important. And you're also going to note that one is going to be slightly longer than the other, but we're talking about a very small distance. Very small difference. The easiest way to do this for the average RC enthusiast is going to be take one out of a bag like this of broken ends from crashed planes or quads or whatever it is that you had going on that day. And just basically put together an end. I don't even think that's the right type of end, but either way, just something like that. You would just take one off of a crashed plane and then just cut the wires and solder them together. It's no big deal. That's fine. You can do that, but I'm going to show you the way to build the ends because that's what I prefer to do in this application because then I don't have a bunch of extra length on one or the other, okay? Also, I think it makes for a lot better finished product. So I have a kit here that has a bunch of different connector ends on it. And then I have this doohickey here that is a special crimper designed to crimp the ends on those servo leads. Okay, so it goes like this and it ratchets down. This tool is not fun to use. I think it's very hard to do this. That's the worst part of this process by far. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, we can just get back to actually building them. Okay, so I have a bunch of these connectors. These are female, and these are gonna be female. Okay, so what I wanna do is just verify that they're exactly the same. Okay, see that? There's a female end right here. Now, why do I care that these are the same as the other ones? Because when I go to stick this on the pin, I wanna make sure it goes on, okay? Oh yeah, that feels very good purchase, very good fit. These are square pins. That's the way they all are. They're square. They're not round. Why are they not round, camera crew? You have the flash on. It's really annoying.
Because
you have a mating surface that's much larger on a flat plane.
Oh.
Okay, so I need 3 of those. Probably 5 by the time I screw up 2.
Okay.
Okay, so these ones, you can buy these things at a bunch of different places. This was something that I got from a guy named Tom, incidentally, too. Not the same Tom who bought me this plane stand, but it was when I was kind of new in the hobby, and Tom was sort of getting out of it. His work was too demanding, and so he didn't have time for it. And he was really, he actually gave me an apprentice, too. Remember? We were talking about that the other day. So anyway, so Tom gave me this little kit because he wasn't using it anymore. And he just said, hey, I know you're not going to waste it. And that's something that is kind of unique to this, you know, this small group of people that do RC, is that everybody gets how, you know, everything does add up over time, guys. The only reason we do so many of these planes is because these manufacturers work with us, okay? We understand you can't buy every single plane we review. That would be impractical for the average person. But of course, you know, that's your call. Okay, so strip back a little bit. And if you look at this, if you study this, you're gonna have to get some extreme close-ups. The copper goes, hold on, stay put. The copper goes here. This holds on to the sheath. This holds onto the wire. This is where the pin slides in. Are you zoomed as much as you can? Okay. So this is where your wire actually goes into, this part right here. This is what holds onto the sheath of the cable. Do not miss this step or you will have an extremely weak connector. You have to get this right. If you can't get this right, just solder it, okay? Not this. You can't solder this. If you solder, it will flow inside of there and you'll get a very bad connection if you even get a connection at all, because there is a spring-loaded tab that's folded back. And as the pin penetrates in there, it keeps a spring contact on the pin. Okay, so this is where I don't like this tool because it is quite challenging to do, in my opinion. I can do it, but I'm not very good at it. And I'm sure I'm probably missing a detail, but I usually get them started like this. And there's one size, there's like a die inside of there, and it collapses the front more than the back, which is correct, and that's the way it should be, okay? So now this has to be inside of the plane a little bit just to get purchased. You can't block my light. You got to go back to where you were. Thank you. Okay, so I've got that in, and then you just crimp it down. Okay, then you let go, and you hope you got it right. Ha! Are you kidding me? I actually got it right. So now, you guys see what I see, and that is that this wire, the copper, is crimped in this part. And I got a little teeny bit of the sheath in there. That's okay. And then there's a very solid purchase on that plastic. Okay? That's how you make one of those connect. Now, that's only one of the 3 that you have to do. Then, of course, you have to have something like this, which, again, you could get that from a crash plane, but I happen to have them in this kit. So this is a universal servo connector end. Okay. Like I said, I would just grab it out of a crashed plane is what I would do typically. But then you're just going to build your connector so that it mimics exactly what you have here. Okay? So you see that? Get the orientation the same. There's a little bit of a flat spot. Ooh, I did that backwards, see? See this? There we go. That's the best way to do it, so you can see. And then listen. Listen to the snap. Listen. There's the snap. And you have retention. Except, look what I did. I hooked it up in the wrong position. So, I have to do that right now. My apologies, folks. I didn't get this in the right slot. And some of you are probably thinking, goodness gracious, that's a lot of work for flap-ons. Well, it kind of is, and that's part of the reason why most people don't do it. And that's part of the reason why we have a channel, is because we do it. My camera crew loves me so much. Okay, so go back here on the strippers. Don't overstrip your wire. If you strip too much, you'll make a mess, I promise you. Also, don't strip the next one until you're ready, okay? It's easier if you don't. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you what I did first. This has a face that's labeled. This has a face that's not, okay? So up inside there, I wanna show you this inside this die. There's a deeper pocket here and a shallower pocket on the front half. Same thing here, these are bigger ones, smaller ones, okay? So then this comes up as a flat surface and it pushes up and then it die crushes this and that simultaneously, but there's more room in the back for the sheath. So what I do is I take this, I lay it in there and I crimp it until there's contact. Now it's gonna fall out, so I have to hold it until it's in there pinched a little bit. You see how it started folding the tab? Now I'm gonna take and stick this in here and I'm just gonna literally take the wire and make sure it guides the copper along the bottom half. It goes better that way. And then I'm just gonna stick it in and get penetration to where I think it needs to be, and then I go. And if you screwed up, then you try again. See this? Can I tell the people what I call that?
I don't know, it depends on what you call it.
I won't tell you guys because it's a mixed audience. Okay. So you see how that's crimped? That's a pretty tight crimp, maybe a little bit more than you want, but it's a good solid joint, okay? You're gonna get good cotton, you're gonna get a good connection, and you're gonna transmit your, in this case, 5 volts of power. Okay, so now verify you're lined up right. And look, we've only got one left. See, it was super simple. Just took like 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Brian Phillips RC style. Or just Brian Phillips style. I was waiting for you to laugh. You didn't.
Oh, sorry.
you were just thinking of the trauma still.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. Yeah, you do. You watch my videos. You have an idea.
Yeah, but they've never installed like ceiling fans and
garage door openers, security lights. Oh, goodness gracious. Listen, folks, there's certain things you just shouldn't do if you're married with your wife.
House.
We didn't build the house. We could have, and that's what I think we should have done still.
No.
There would have been at least one dead body, and it would have been mine.
Yeah, no, we're still married. We still live in
And
the
I'm
same
still
house.
alive.
You're still alive.
You guys haven't lost your beloved Brian Phillips RC channel yet.
I would not be nearly as good at this as you are.
Well, listen, from what I understand, life insurance doesn't pay out if you murder somebody. Just saying. All right, guys, look. So the last lead, as you can see, slip it in there. Listen for the click. Click. Cool. Cool. Look at that, guys. That's so cool. Sorry, I just hit the mic, folks. All right, so now that we've got that done, that's super, super easy, light project. That's just to add the actual plug. Now, that doesn't change anything else really. And I just want to throw this out there for those of you that have a crash plane. And let's say that you got it as a ready to fly. I just want to take a minute to tell you, if you want to have a, by the way, I'm just grabbing a 4S pack while we're talking. If you have a bind and fly plane, and it's like 40 bucks more than a plug and fly plane, why are you even considering the plug and fly? Just get the bind and fly, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to get that out of the way because I had some people asking me today. I understand if you're new to the hobby, you're learning still, but just don't get the plug and fly and then say, hey, Brian, what do I do? Oh my goodness. You have to watch one of my videos and follow along. I mean, we have literally filmed hundreds of these things for your viewing pleasure. So please take advantage of that. Okay. Was that fair enough? Mm-hmm. So if you get a plug and fly and you need help setting it up, just find any plug and fly with the same type of wing, okay? And then you can copy along, right? Mm-hmm. If you got it ready to fly and you crashed it and you're like, hey, I want to save this expensive receiver because it's like $100, I get it. The best thing to do is if you get an exact same plane, pull it over, put it in, no problem, you'll be totally good, and I know good, do that. If you crash it and then you're like, I'm gonna get any other plane under the sun, any other, even the minor deviation that you don't think could possibly matter, it will. And then try it, and then you see what I'm talking about. Anyway, all right, so end rant. See this? The Spectrum logo, there's a button right above it. This is the AR631 we were talking about earlier. So we have this sitting here. This one's the one that we figured was throttle, okay, because it's not labeled. I don't know why they didn't label that. I'm gonna stick that in. On the end here, it says S plus minus, so minus is negative and S is signal. I'm gonna go to the second port over, which is actually channel 1, okay? Now, because this is a flaperon configuration, I'm not even gonna bother to plug in the ailerons yet. In fact, we are gonna take a minute. We're gonna go through radio setup right now. Your favorite part of the video, radio setup, which is sort of hybrid because we're doing a plug and fly. I say hybrid because we kind of have to do a little bit of build still. We've got some linkages that need to be landed. We have to build the model, but we don't know exactly how things are gonna lay out for right and left aileron because we're doing flaperons. Now, forward programming on the AR631 means that the transmitter uses telemetry to talk to the receiver, and it's gonna address each of these channels as we set it up in the servo setup menu. That is all dictated by the type of wing type you make on your acro, okay? The acro meaning the type of airplane model that you produce. So we're gonna go through the whole process right now. I'm gonna click, go to the function list, scroll all the way down to system setup, disconnect RF, you'll notice that light comes off, which is also the power button there. Model select, you're gonna click the model select. I have to have the camera crew go away, and then we're gonna grab a new model, okay? So new model. The reason we do that is because we have early releases and we can't always show you what the early releases are because we are obligated not to share them before certain dates. All right, so now we're back to the previous menu. It's super easy to add a new plane. It's not a big deal. So model type. This is where you could select the model type again if you wanted to change it after the fact. Data will be reset. Okay, that's that. You just need to know that if you do that after you've made changes, it's going to reset the data. Keep in mind, forward programming is stored in that thing, not this thing. Okay? So if you have an AR637TA that was in a crashed plane and you go to a factory reset, which we can actually show that now just so people can see what we're talking about. Let's get things bound real quick. We're on our acro. We don't even have a name. Okay, we're just acro. 5 minutes is standard thing. Throttle cut doesn't even work. Nothing works yet. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in. This is a 4S Gen 2. Nothing special about that. We're just gonna drop it in here so we've got some power going. I'm not even strapping it in, obviously. Okay, so you'll note that my transmitter is on. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off. Once that orange light goes off, you're good to go. You're good to go. Now I'm gonna plug this in. It's gonna power up. Okay, then I'm gonna press this button one time. While holding that, I'm gonna go down here, press this. I usually hold it against my hip. Then I press the button momentarily, wake up the power, binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds, okay? Now I can let go of that. You're not hearing any dance. That's because I literally have none of the servos hooked up. We're gonna talk about how to clear forward programming back to factory defaults before we do this. So, just because I mentioned it, I'm gonna do it. Click. Function list pops up, scroll down to forward programming. Throttle cuts on, sticks down, other settings, factory reset. This will reset the configuration to factory defaults. We don't care, it's a brand new one anyway. And complete. And now we're done. Now we have factory setup on our receiver and our transmitter. You don't have to do that step every time you set up a plane with a brand new virgin receiver. But I do show you that if you had a 631 in a plane that you crashed and you want to reuse it. It's as simple as that. If you had a 636B, you're hooking up programming cables, you're getting out of the laptop, you're firing it up, you're turning on software, you're doing all sorts of work. It's a huge pain in the butt. Okay, now you do everything from the transmitter. It's super easy, but you do have to have a Spectrum transmitter as far as I know. So now we're going to go back into function list, scroll over down to system setup, disconnect RF, yes. And we're going back to where we normally start, which is to name the model. So it's number 49, colon, space. And this is where you would scroll in the name. And I'm going to show you one trick that I recently figured out. I'm using a legacy keyboard. You can use a new style keyboard or you can use a legacy. I prefer legacy. This is where you subtract a character or add a character. Sorry, the cat was scratching herself on our chair and it sounded like a train going through our living room. Okay, so this is going to subtract a character. You see how that worked? Yep, that's that weird character. So instead of saying acro, it says crow. Then you can add a character. Cool, right? I didn't even know that was there. It's been there for a long time, I think, probably. I just didn't know. All right, so now we're going to take a second and we're going to type in probably XFly, right? XFly. And then we'll type the name of the model and we'll come right back. All right, guys, so we have XFly T-7A, 64 millimeter. I usually put a size class in there just so I can remember for future reference. That is normal, believe it or not. Aircraft type, this is where you're gonna set up. In our case, we're gonna do flaperons, okay? Now you can also do dual ailerons if you would like, and you can still set up flaperons as well, okay? I don't really understand why there's a differentiation, but I guess at any rate, I believe you can set it up either way. The tail is still truly set up as a standard tail, even though it's actually gonna be relative. Oh, look at that. Well, that's weird. What the heck happened here? When did that happen? That is so weird. Look at this. The switch must have like unscrewed or something. If you guys ever have that happen, sorry, it's a total side note. What the heck? When did that happen? I don't know. So strange. If you ever have that happen, then you have to take a screwdriver and fix it. So we'll pause and come right back. Okay, so I'm just gonna tighten this, but if you notice when you see they've got this split screwdriver you can get that will straddle the switch, but I just literally noticed it. If you ever notice that you've got a switch that's loose like that, It's always best to figure it out while you're doing your builds and stuff. I just can't believe I didn't notice it before today. And maybe it just backed off a little teeny bit. If you ever do find yourself in a situation where you've got that happening, I've done it 2 different ways. One, I've used 2 different screwdrivers to kind of torque it. And the other way is, like in this case, I'm gonna use the crescent wrench to just kind of keep it centered. And yes, if you break these things, you can fix them. I've dropped this NX8 once and I had to redo the A switch. It was kind of a fiasco. Of course, since we're always filming these videos, it was kind of a pain. And I mean, it's a big deal when I drop a transmitter because I'm using the transmitters all the time. It's a very important, critical, you know, part of our lives right now. So it's a big deal when we break one. And it's not like it was broken because it was bad quality or something. I dropped it on the ground, so they're not designed to be dropped. And look at all the switches. There's switches on every side. Luckily, I didn't damage a gimbal. That would suck. Okay. So you see how you can still turn it, but every time you turn it, you have to be aware that this is going to kind of twist on you a little bit. And as you do that, it's going to back off. Okay. So once you get it to where you're satisfied with the angle, yeah, see, like it's held tight now. Oh, yeah, see, I can't move it easily. I don't know how that vibrated loose. That's so crazy. All right, sorry, guys, lots of interruptions today. All right, so aircraft type, normal on the tail. And that's really all you have to do, but then I'm gonna scroll to next. I'm gonna highlight this image and then change it to a picture. Yes, I know on the IX-12 you can put images from that you can download from your cell phone or you can email to yourself. On the IX-20, you can physically take a picture with it because it has an Android device installed in it. Okay. Oh, by the way, if you guys don't know what that thing is, check this out. This is kind of a cool little thing. Look at that. It's a little micro USB with a magnetic ring around it. And that is a charging port there. And I think it's one of the goofier things that you can get for these. But then all I have to do is walk up to my charger and then charge it. And yes, you can charge while you're doing things, which is pretty cool. And then you're less likely to break something if you walk away from it. Oh, and then also, this is really the big ticket item, is you want to get that 6,000 milliamp hour battery, 3.7 volts transmitter pack. The battery life is so much better. I never have a problem with the battery life on this thing, and I never did on my DX18 either. But on my NX6, that was about the only thing I didn't like about it. And then I got into the 6,000 milliamp hour, solved my problem, and then I went over. I mean, I was charging it like pretty much every time I would go out and fly, I'd have to charge it. It wasn't a big deal. It's just another thing you have to do. Now I can go 5 or 6 different flying times before I even really notice there's an issue. And I try to keep it full. That's a big safety issue, so keep your batteries charged. Anyway, I wanted to show you that real quick because that's a neat thing we've been trying. Seems to work okay. It's really easy. If you're not careful with your cables, it's really nice. All right, so aircraft type. Man, we're getting distracted tonight. I'm sorry, guys. Flight mode. We're gonna turn on a flight mode. I don't know what all flight modes we need today. We've got no flaps, no retracts, except we do have flaps. So really it's gonna be, this will be the switch for safe or AS3X, okay? This will be the switch for flaps. So what I wanna do is enable flight mode. Switch one's gonna be A. So now there's 2 modes. See how it says 2? If you were to highlight this and do D, it's gonna say 3 because you have 3 modes. Some people like to be able to turn off AS3X like on a sailplane. Safe, AS3X off, AS3X. And when you're in this mode, you can go search for thermals or whatever. And you can assign whatever position you like, okay? So in my case, I'm gonna go ahead and use A because I only need 2 modes. I just want safe on and then AS3X on because I'm not gonna basically fly this plane without AS3X. All right, and this is where you can name your flight modes. I'm not gonna waste my time on that or yours. Waste time. You're watching a Brian Phillips RC video. Get real. All right, so channel assignment, you might need to mess with that later. Warnings, we're not gonna mess with that yet. We might later. And now we can walk back out. Throttle cut's on. You'll note that the plane is energized, but there's only the throttle on. Throttle cut is not set. Let's do that right now. Throttle cut. It's inhibited. Set it to switch H. Looking here, it's at -100 and it's not changing. So that means it's on and the switch is back toward me, which is what I want. So when that's off, it's gonna move potentially. Cool, okay, so that sounds good. Throttle cut's on and tested. So we have that right. Now let's go to timer. Ooh, was there a time in the manual?
I would have to look again.
Let's do that right now. Let's grab the manual. The Red Hawk. I guess it's called the Red Hawk. I didn't put the Red Hawk in there. All right, so page 2. Intermediate to advanced. We're gonna make it so it's almost like a beginner plane. Oh, they don't say to use medium CA. That's just what the guys use. Okay, whatever. I use China glue. China glue. It's the best glue. Best glue in the world. And I know glue. They tell you where to put the nose steps. Pretty much all the what would be control surfaces. Geez, there's like a million of them.
I know.
We're gonna have to employ like 3 part-timers just to put those on. Guys, that's just a hilarious joke for all of you that know it's just me and my wife. This is their ESC setup. Oh, look, beep, 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 beep.
That's my favorite part.
Tells you the setup. That's pretty sweet. I do like that they include this. That's really nice. 40 amp ESC, 9 gram plastic geared servo. Positive. That's weird. Maybe they mean like, maybe there's a negative. I don't think so. I'm not seeing any times here, guys.
Clear back to the first page. With
This is how you program the ESC, by the way. Right here. It's on page 13. That's awesome. That's really nice. So if you crash the plane, you want to use it in something else, you could reset it. Or you can go in and change the setting. By the way, incidentally, they're showing it on a mode 1 transmitter because the throttle's on the right. I'm on a mode 2 transmitter. The throttle is on this side on the left. Mm-hmm. Okay. So don't be confused by that.
Go clear back to page 1 where there's like that gray table. I feel like there was on the other one.
Well, I mean, how are they going to know? 20-minute build time. 20 minutes.
Or flight duration.
8 minutes? Wow, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so 8 minutes if you're using a similar size battery. Okay, so we'll set it to 8 minutes. Now, we aren't going to have full telemetry on this because the 630 or the 631 doesn't have battery pack voltage. And yes, I do complain every chance I get that it isn't included to Horizon. And they are listening. They are aware of it. I don't know when it's going to be fixed. It might get fixed someday. But if you want it, in the meantime, you can get an AR637TA or an AR637T if it's not out of a bind and fly that's been crashed or something like that. And you will get pack voltage, but if you want full telemetry and thrust reverse, which would be pretty sweet on this plane, then you can switch out the ESC for an avian if you don't mind spending almost as much as a plane on the avian ESC, just to say. Okay, so 8 minutes. 8 minutes dialed there, and 1 time is active. Next. Okay, then I'm gonna have no warning at 1 minute, no warning at 20 seconds, and then at 10 I want it to count out. At expiration, I want tone and vibrate. Every minute, I'll have it tone past the 8. All right, so let's go ahead and go to servo setup. You can go to this screen, or you can just scroll over like this to the monitor mode. This is going to tell us where to plug things in. Right aileron, then elevator. Okay, so it's throttle, then right aileron, elevator, rudder, gear, and left aileron. Okay. So throttle cut's on. Rudder is the first one, right? Nope, that's the right aileron. So one of them is right, one of them is wrong. So this is the second, this is the third port, the second channel. Okay, so now I'm gonna move my aileron. Okay, so that is the right aileron.
Oh,
okay? So I just got lucky. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get the wrong side first. Then the other aileron needs to skip one, skip another, skip, oh my goodness, it's all the way at the end. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So channel 6. right? Okay, so now let's look at our ailerons. Ooh, cool. And, ha, it's actually correct. That's pretty cool. Wait, is that correct? Hold on. That's gonna roll over. That's gonna roll over. Yep, so it is correct. You can also set up things like differential if you use flaperons. Differentials where when the aileron goes up, it goes up more than it goes down. Up more, and down less. Because the efficiency of the ailerons tends to be a little bit greater on the up than the down. Anyway, just take my word for it, camera crew.
Okay, I believe.
I can see you rolling your eyes.
I believe you.
Trust me, I know rolling eyes. I'm an expert.
You've been married a long time.
Elevator. We spend a lot of time together, folks. We only do this to spend time together. It's got nothing to do with an obsession, right? Mm-hmm. This is where you confidently reassure me.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, right. Okay, good. You missed the mark,
Sorry,
buddy. All right, so there is a missing plug there, and that's good because that means we could use it for something fun, like, you know, something else later. All right, so let's check the control surfaces. Obviously, the elevators are not hooked up yet, so we're gonna do that right now before we continue the rest of the setup, which is gonna include flaps. So let's do that right now. You can see the battery's gonna go back here. The transmitter's gonna go up here. I gotta flip this whole stinking thing upside down, so I'm kind of thinking about the possibility of maybe lifting this battery out and grabbing those wires. Show them in there, those wires. You see those wires in there? I want to get those suckers pulled back because you can see where this is going to be kind of a mess. So I want to see if I can very carefully get the aileron wires and things pulled back. She's going to try to flash me now. Mm-hmm. Ooh. Ah, dang it. Wrong kind. You just disappointed a whole world full of RC enthusiasts.
Sorry.
Okay, here it is. So here it is. This is the other wire that I haven't pulled yet. There's a little bit of extra. Ooh, I got it though. Okay, so this is the other aileron. You see what I'm doing? I'm just trying to get the slack pulled back through, and it looks like, well, it really doesn't matter which one it is. I just need to pull it through. Yeah, there it is, there it is, there it is. I just don't want to yank the wire out. That'd be super annoying and a big mess. Oh yeah, there we go. Then, oh yeah. Now the only reason we're having to do this, it was actually super clean, it was because I added those features. Why does that feel like, what is this anyway? That's the aileron. Why does it feels like, why is that one always got all the slack on it? There we go. That's what I was looking for, folks. And then this one here is throttle. So throttle is going to be the tough one because this actually goes over here. So I'm going to pull that back through on this side. All right, you see how nice that is? No cable management now to deal with. Just do that and you'll be golden. Now this is going to be a stabilized receiver with AS3X and safe. The position of the receiver is somewhat neutral. I could actually cut that into a pocket and make it super clean. But, you know, since we don't have any real estate issues, I mean, geez, there's like a whole huge open cavity up in here.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird to have like that much extra room.
And by weird, you mean?
Weird, like
nice.
Awesome. I wish it was always that way. All right, so let's just stick it up there. Is that all right with you? Do you have any problems with it? Goodness gracious.
What?
That hot glue gun made a big old huge blob. Oh. So we're gonna use hot glue. Yeah, you could use double-sided tape or 3M tape or whatever. But I kind of like this because of where we're proximity to that bulkhead there for the landing gear. And I can just plop that in there. Oh man, it would be kind of nice to have it out here just to give space. But then I can get another gluing surface. Who cares, Brian? Who cares? Brian, you don't need it.
Only you.
You don't need it, it's fine, Brian. Just stick it in there. Okay. Thank you, Trump. Here it is. You did it. You did it, Brian. You're not fired. Yet. See this? Now I'm just gonna like hold that. Oh boy. You know why I like hot glue for this sort of thing?
Because you're impatient.
Me?
Sorry, was that the wrong answer?
All right, so it's stuck down. We're happy with that. Now, this antenna, there's only one. There's not a diversity antenna unless there's some internal thing that I'm not aware of. And I'm not going to speak to that because I don't think there is. Now, that can just be dropped down, but you need to have it low enough that as the canopy seats in here, it doesn't, run into it here or up here. Okay. So I'm just going to drop this in and make a nice little loop to help keep it down. Do we have that X-Acto knife close by? We do not.
No,
so I'm going to get the X-Acto knife. I'm going to show you guys a trick that I've showed about 450 other times. I'm going to show two tricks. The first trick is the easiest trick. It's called get a piece of tape, clear tape or otherwise, and hold your antenna down. Alternatively, you can use an X-Acto knife and you can cut a spot where you want the antenna to be. I usually kind of like to see about where it's going to fall. And then I will cut a nice little groove. Nice little groove, just like this. You see? Okay, so we got a groove. Then I'm going to take the blade backward and follow through the groove to give it a nice channel with which to enter. Then I'm going to take a flat screwdriver. It's a little bit fatter than the blade. And I'm just going to run along the opening. Then I'm going to take the antenna and very carefully work the antenna into the crack. Now, why am I sticking this thing in the crack? And it's the age-old question. If you're not going to use it for anything else, you might as well stick it in, I suppose. And if you look what I'm doing, I'm just kind of stuffing it in the crack. If it's there, you might as well, right? There it is. So now that's the part you want to be careful about. The part that's clear is the active portion of the antenna. Now, obviously the RF that's getting picked up, the radio frequency that's getting picked up is going through the entire wire. But that's the part that's the most vulnerable, okay? So now if you stick that down at the bottom, there's kind of a groove between the halves of the model. So I might kind of encourage the wire to nest into that groove like this. You see that? Yeah, you see? Yeah. Right there. I'm going to pull this out. Ooh, that's kind of a nasty spot. You don't want to fold it right where you don't want to fold that right where it comes out of the sheath. It's weak there. As are all antennas. Okay. So yeah, I know some of you guys are probably screaming like, Brian, just stick it in the hole already. I get it, trust me. If I could stick it in quicker, I would. Oh my goodness. Finally, it's in there. Do you remember how easy I told you that was going to be?
It's super easy.
That was super easy. Then I'm going to take this tape, and I'm still going to put the tape there anyway. Oh my goodness, this is driving me nuts. Okay, now that's protected, mechanically protected from the otherwise potential for damage, like if you've got wire leads and things going around. And I'm just going to kind of plop that down there. Now, you could have also just taken a clear piece of tape and taped it to the bottom of any of that surface, and it probably would have been equally as good. Are you showing the people what we're listening to? I hope our lav mics aren't picking that up. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's also super annoying. What are they doing?
Cinder's in the box, and Cole is trying to attack her without his head being seen.
Because it's
And
like
then
a
his
big
eyes
secret.
are like totally glowing like a... It's hilarious.
Like a weird goon.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting another piece of tape.
It's okay. We just missed you getting tape.
Yeah,
We've seen it before.
seen it before. Okay, so that tape will hold it in. Okay, we spent as much time taping that antenna as we did gluing in the receiver. Okay, I don't know if that's good, bad, or otherwise, but as you can tell, it's in there, it's good, everything is happy. We actually have everything essentially ready for forward programming, right?
Well, you need to hook up the elevators.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And by the way, this strap is super high quality. It's made of that heavy duty stuff. Sometimes the Velcro is just garbagey, but I don't feel like it's garbagey at all. That's really nice. Okay, so we will talk about CG at some point, but that 4S 2200 is in there. I also have my wires kind of displayed everywhere. I think what might be wise, given the circumstances of this case, I should just kind of stuff those wires up into this area, and then that will get them out of the area that we want to kind of protect for the battery. Okay, because the battery needs to have space to breathe and live and enjoy life and flourish. Sounds like we're talking about children.
There's like a tray in there, back there.
Yeah, what do you mean there's a tray back there? Up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. That's just a place where all the wires can go live. Okay. Also lets the air go through, which is good. All right, so we got everything in there. This thing is cable managed up. Oh boy, is this already cool? I hope not. If it isn't, I'm gonna show you one other trick now that we have the wires in the right spot. This is the trick of the day here, folks. Okay, you'll notice that I just did a glue strip along the top of that. Why did we do that, camera crew?
So the ends don't accidentally pull out.
There's nothing worse than a premature pullout.
Well.
Sometimes it might be the smartest move.
Unless that's your plan.
But, I mean, just...
It's usually not very effective.
Not very fun. Okay, so, as you can see, we have a nice clean install. The plane will be able to tell positional changes on all 3 axes. And you're like, but Brian, that's not on the center of gravity. It's okay. The electronics are sophisticated enough nowadays that that's not as big of a deal. I mean, obviously, I think the center of gravity is a great place to put a receiver, but you can't always do that. So, you do what you can with what you got. Just look at me. All right, so now that we have that done, and it's ready to... Okay, so everything is working. We are gonna have to reverse that channel. Now we gotta get these things hooked up. Now, I'm not sure if I wanna go ahead and just flip this upside down maybe. The cool part is I can actually put that canopy on and look at its beautifulness. Oh yeah, that is so cool. Whoa, the back instrument cluster has lots of stuff going on too.
I know, I showed them already.
Oh, you did? I didn't even notice that. I was looking at the front the whole time. Okay, so you see those things? We gotta hook those up. Now, in the instruction manual, they might speak about that a little bit. They talk about the throws. Camera crew, did you notice anything about that?
It did say, and you said it before, they're recommending outside hole.
No, I'm talking about, like, is the elevator supposed to be up or anything weird? All right, let's just show the people what I'm talking about real quick.
Okay.
So now that like the China glue is set and everything is done, kind of working, the reference on jets can be difficult, okay? This is not a full stabilator or anything, so like it's not like the whole thing moves. A lot of times with full stabilators, which is where the entire horizontal stabilizer acts as an elevator or televon, you have to line up the tip with some specific spot, okay? Some strange spot. In my case, I'm just gonna grab it like this and pinch it. And then I'm gonna say, okay, the servo's centered. Man, those things are hard to turn. You see this? I have it in the right hole. The servo's centered and working, okay? They're going in the correct direction. I made sure they're both going the same direction, see? Right? I don't really care what direction. Actually, I kind of do. When I pull back on that, that should make the nose come up. That's actually backward. Okay, so let's switch that now. So go to servo setup, travel, click, and then go to reverse. Elevator needs to be reversed, rudder needs to be reversed. Let's verify the rudder. Let's verify the direction of travel on the elevator as we're looking at it. So when I pull back on the sticks, that should push out. That would make the elevator go back. When I push forward, then it would make it go forward. Okay, good. Then on the rudder, I'm looking forward to make it easy to verify. When I yaw left, it's gonna yaw left. When I yaw right, it's gonna yaw right. When I roll left, it's gonna roll left. When I roll right, it's gonna roll right. When I pull up, it's gonna go up. When I push down, it's gonna go down. Okay, so all the direction it travels are correct. Forward programming is not done, but you do have to have that done before you can even forward program. So now I need to brace this somehow. I'm gonna hold it up and then hold it tight. We gotta go a long ways. See that? Mm-hmm. So now that I have that braced, I can do this without damaging the servo. Okay, so I did like 3 half turns there. Oh yeah, still not there. 4, now 5, now 6 half turns. 7, maybe 8. Ooh, you don't want it to totally come off of there. Okay, that's about right actually. Okay, so that will go on there and it's actually pulling it down. So I gotta go out another half turn. Man, that's a lot of half turns. That feels like that's gonna be pretty good. So you can kind of hold that in position. Okay, so now we can clip that together. Sorry, we had to let the cats out there being super obnoxious. Okay, so you can snap these on. Ooh, actually, wait. Some of these have a correct side and an incorrect side. No, these ones are ambidextrous. Okay, they're just paint. There's paint on there. You see that, guys? On the balls. My balls are painted, folks. Whoa, that's weird. See that? The paint was making it kind of hard to snap on. Okay, so let's try this. See how the paint's getting ripped off of there? Mm-hmm. That's surprising that they would have that. Ooh, I have a tool, hold on. I have a new tool. All right, so this is from Grumpy John. He is super grumpy guy. If you're watching, I'm sure you will be watching. So anyway, it's these little pliers. He sent these to us as a gift. He also gets us wind socks, which is funny. Because every once in a while, my sock gets stuck in the barbed wire and he laughs. Because he enjoys watching us in our suffering. So you see this little bump? That keeps things centered as you're working. And it's supposed to snap on. Ooh, that did work pretty good, actually. Now, the key is this will help you then remove them as well, should you need to remove them. I'm just still not 100% sure exactly how to use them, but that was pretty smooth. Okay, so now looking at this surface, I'm looking for a matching spot here, okay? That's how I've identified that that's going, okay, and that's definitely the right direction, okay? Now that we've confirmed all that, I can come over here and replicate that exact, oh look, we're barely gonna have to bring this one out. Of course, we picked the one that's like 7.5 turns. Okay, so all I'm doing is lifting that up, grabbing it on the 90, that braces it so I don't break this. And then I can take this out. Oh, half a turn, jeez, that was hard to turn. And then another half a turn. You guys can't see, but I'm like death gripping this over here. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do I have a death grip? Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you've ever had shaken your hand or had a high five from you.
What, the pain and suffering?
Yes.
The pain and suffering would be apparent. Goodness gracious, I got stuff all over me tonight. This is crazy.
I know.
Okay, so I don't know if this is supposed to be here or not. I don't think that's right. I don't think, yeah, see, that's not right. It's got to be this way, because then it holds on to kind of where the screw comes through. And then it's just like, put it on. Oh,
that does work.
That does work pretty good. Thanks, John. I finally used it. You know I would. Elevator. Watch the cat. Do you see it? Yeah. This is what happens when you let cats out at night in the country. Then you have vicious attacks.
I don't know, Callie's going after it.
Oh really? Callie will get it. The problem is to also destroy the house doing it.
Yep.
Okay. No animals were harmed in the making of this video.
Just moths.
Hey, listen.
If you want
they aren't animals.
If you want a cheap cordless vacuum, whatever that thing is, get one of those.
Are you gonna make me link to the stupid vacuum now?
Save your money.
It sucked for like 2 seconds of a 3-hour video.
But if they
People
buy that,
will want to find that spot though.
if people buy that instead of a Dyson, they can buy a plane instead, or like 2 more planes. Just helping you out. Buy your wife a vacuum.
Shameless.
And then
You
you
are
can buy a
shameless. All right, check this out. Oh yes. Elevator, elevator. Ailerons, ailerons. Turn left, turn right. Throttle cuts off. Oh, she blows a lot. Look at that. I'm at 10% throttle and she's like blowing us like crazy. All right, I gotta try it. I'm sorry, I gotta try it. I don't know how powerful this thing's gonna be. She's strong. I didn't mean to drop it, but I totally did. Okay, so not quite a 1-to-1 power to weight ratio. So now we will continue the forward programming. Throttle cuts on. All right, forward programming. You guys are getting all sorts of extra crap today. You would have never expected. I am a little bit concerned about the steering though, because it's pretty far off right now, isn't it? Seems like it's veering badly to the left. I don't know if I really care yet.
Well, probably not yet.
Yeah, let's look at that real quick because then forward programming happens and then like details get adjusted. Okay, check this out, guys. I want you guys to see how this works because this is going to be a pain, okay? Let's just get right down to it. It's going to be a huge pain to adjust this.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Those are my favorite kind of adjustments.
The camera crew loves it when it's a huge pain adjustments. The reason it's going to be a huge pain is twofold. Onefold is because there isn't really a great like clevis or adjustment in that manner. So what you have to do is you don't have to make a mechanical adjustment. You know what? If there were ever a time to just use trim, this plane might be it, just as a status update. If you're going down the runway and you trim your plane, your nose gear, and you have a rudder attached, then you're gonna trim your plane straight on the ground and then you get in the air and it wants to yaw, okay?
Right.
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So the problem with this style is when you loosen this clevis, this type of clevis, right? You're only gonna have full spline adjustments. So one step on each spline. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. See, look, this comes off. There's only so many different spline positions. If I could go over one, see, now I'm the other way. You see that? Mm-hmm. Now, what do we know about this machined fixture up here?
It's kind of a pain.
Not only that, but it's flat, which means it's going to, look over here. You got two flats. You tighten into a flat. What does it do? It centers it. So once you center it, then you're on a flat, and that's where it's, if say you want to adjust it 3 degrees or it's 6 degrees, you move it 6 degrees, and then when you tighten it, it pulls it right back. So if there were ever a time, this is how you do this. You look and you say, okay, all the way back and forth, right? All the way back and forth. Give them a wide angle so they can see me move it. All the way back and forth, right? This is what you do. All the way back and forth, then it shoots across the room. Once it shoots across the room, you've already unscrewed the little keeper screw. Then what you do is you center this as best you want it to be centered, right? So you got it centered as good as you want. Then, by the way, did you notice this is up pretty high too? I don't know, like did we not set it low enough? I feel like it's running into the plastic. Huh, that's kind of strange. So I hope that doesn't become a problem and cause this to be bent. Although, if it was bent, it might work really nice. Anyway, I just wanted you guys to watch for that on your own. Oh no, were we supposed to have it the other way? Oh no, was it supposed to go the other way? Was that supposed to go down?
I don't know. Somebody didn't read the directions.
Oh no, did I do it wrong? Oh no. I'm gonna look at the drawing now that I have figured out I might have screwed it up. Guys, if I screwed it up, I apologize. It's Honey,
No, go back.
I have no problem apologizing.
Landing gear installation.
Oh, it's supposed to go down. I'm such an idiot.
So I screwed that whole thing in for nothing and you did it wrong?
Except maybe it's better this way. Maybe it's actually better than the manufacturer designed it. Do you remember how I was just saying? Yeah. Yeah, I screwed it in backward, guys. That's embarrassing. Don't you love it how we point out our perpetual mistake making? Because we're all about covering up our mistakes.
Perpetual mistake making. That was the
Listen,
wrong pronoun.
when there's a mistake, it's our.
No.
Okay, it was me. All right, I got to try to get this thing out of here. I put it on backward, folks. I apologize. That could totally resolve the problem right there. I don't think it will. It's just going to be an adjustment that has to happen, though, unfortunately. The reason I'm doing this before forward programming, see, I can at least turn it this way so it's a little bit easier to get at. Ooh, if I'm turned that way, maybe I can go back to this. Tom, you didn't let me down after all. Look at that. How beautiful that worked. You know, sometimes when you're trying to ram something in a hole and it doesn't go in, maybe you got the wrong hole. Just saying.
I told you it wasn't supposed to go in the back.
So there's your set screw, right? It's supposed to go downward like that. So now that we know that our servo is centered, we are going to put it in, and you'll note that it goes to the left side of the plane. And then watch this. When I go to the other side, watch what happens. Now the next spline is kind of to the right of the plane. So pick whichever one is slightly less crappy and then put it there. Then drop this down onto your machine shaft. Jeez, I don't know. I kind of liked it better before. I felt like it was more secure because it couldn't come out.
But it's not going to come out now.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure the engineers totally just slapped this together at the last second. Look how nice that looks. You know what you could do? You could also, okay, this is in all seriousness. You could also take and brace this on the spring and then just like bend this a little teeny bit. It's hard to bend. Those things are strong. That music wire is thick. Why are you looking at me like that now? I hate it when you look at me like that, when you're saying like, Brian, you're full of it. Because you're usually right, but not always. Sometimes you're wrong.
Oh, I'm like, how one time.
Yes, true. Okay. The joys of marriage.
Chris, you read a book.
A book? Brian Phillips RC, Guide to Wonderful Marriage. Marriage of Success.
Don't do what we do.
Whatever. You should do what we do. We just can't film it. What? I was talking about taking out the garbage. We clean up our garbage good around here. Put it straight on YouTube.
Yep.
Do you see the way I didn't suck up that bug earlier? That was hot, actually.
I did see the way that you didn't do that. It probably flew out of the vacuum.
No, it didn't.
Probably in the office now.
It's in there next to the dust bunnies. Guys, this is not probably my favorite step of the plane.
I know, and we got to do it twice.
Hey, literally it's going to self-destruct. Hey, maybe we should pause it because this is like super boring.
Okay.
Unless you have anything to add.
Nope.
After much suffering and frustration, I did get this tightened all the way. And if you'll note, it does turn out to be pretty straight, okay? You see how straight it is? Oh my God. Do you see what just do? Do you see what just happened?
I see.
Okay, so after evidently not enough frustration. See, I just now centered it. Okay, you do have to keep in mind that as you're trying to tighten this, you have to keep that wheel from slipping. If there was a time when I would say that this build has gone not smooth, this is pretty much the thing. Okay, we had a little bit of trouble with the screw on the back of the wing here, but that was like a non-issue.
Yeah.
It took us a couple seconds. This would still technically be and I have to say this delicately, this would still probably be the best part of a Dynam build. Just YI. Or you, Dynam. Thanks for the hat, by the way, Dynam. We love Dynam. He sent us a hat and a shirt. It's like, oh, we love your videos. They're so good. We send you a hat. You say positive things? Yes, please. All right, now that we've offended all of the people that we work with.
Good job.
You're welcome, Dynam. You could just fix your crap. All right, that's in the hole again. And I do note that there is some glue in there. I could probably break. Oh, yes. Woo-wee.
Oh,
that's the strap. The strap needs to be free, folks. If the strap isn't free, it's going to be a pain every time you put a battery in. And we have talked somewhat extensively about making batteries a pain in the butt to install. So we are going to do our best to get it so it's not a pain every time we use this plane. Okay, it is kind of in an awkward spot, but it's probably not the worst load that we've ever had.
No.
For a 64mm plane, you got to remember the size of the plane is going to make it harder or easier. That's a pretty good mechanism now. I feel like it's not likely to pop out. I hate the fact that was going this direction. The set screw was going that direction. If the set screw was on this side, you could poke one hole and you could reach in with any tool like this and just tighten it. And I've done it a million times on other planes. So guys, if you're listening over at XFly, that was a real pain in the butt. So maybe think about doing a spline on top with a set screw or something like that. Except I understand it's gonna make it a lot more expensive, so that's pretty good now. We got it pretty straight. I mean, it's probably not gonna track perfect anyway. We're still gonna have to trim. But like I said, we're trimming just the nose gear alone, so it's not a huge deal. Keeping in mind, mechanical trim is always the best way, because then you have all the trim you might need here when you're ready to fly, okay? Good lordy, lord. Let's go back to forward programming. Forward programming is the process of setting up the receiver to be aware of its physical position in the real world, setting up AS3X, the gains for the gyros, and the gains for safe select and all that good stuff, or safe in this case. Okay, so throttle cuts on, it's tested, everything's working. We have a flight mode 1, we have a flight mode 2 attached to this switch. That's where you would normally make your assignment for safe. The British chick is blabbing on and on endlessly.
Flight mode 2, flight mode 2, flight mode 1, flight mode 2, flight mode 1, flight mode 2.
So anybody who works in computer environment understands what a stack is. A stack is a list of executed commands. And so, listen.
Flight mode 1.
See?
Flight mode 2, flight mode 1, flight mode 2, flight mode 1.
So she evidently, the stack only gets full of so many and then it times out.
Flight mode 1.
So I don't know. The audio events on these things are really nice or really annoying. It just depends on what's going on. Like if you're flying and you're having a bad experience, you're trying to resolve a problem, the audio is so distracting. It's incredible. And it's hard to actually turn it down while you're going through an event like that. Mm-hmm. So I would recommend that don't make things that you need to depend on for audio events, other than possibly voltage issues, voltage alarms, like low voltage, or possibly like an ESC heat issue. That would be the only two things. And to be honest, I think the audio events ought to have volume settings so that we can say, in the event of telemetry warnings, I'd like the audio to be at 80%. In the event of anything else, I'd like it to be 20%, so I can barely hear her. Okay? Just some thoughts, Spectrum, since you don't have your hands full with all the other stuff going on. All right, so we're gonna click back into the function list. We're gonna do our dual rates in Expo right now because that's the next one on the list. Not that there's anything particularly special about this time. We always make our assignments to one switch for all three of them. So under the switch, I'm gonna set it to switch F. I'm gonna set my Expo to 10, to 20. Whoops, sorry, got the wrong one. And then we're gonna go to 40. Now, why 40 on this one? Well, because I prefer expo over rates. Rates are helpful. I'm gonna reduce my rates down to 85, 100, and 100. So 10, 20, and 85 with 40. Does that make sense? So it's gonna be increasingly more with a linear change as we go, right? But I still have 100% throws in the center. If it's way too touchy, I can bring it down here and get to the ground. If it's not touchy enough, I can have it, meaning the expo will be less intense, which means I have more authority in the center of the stick. That chart tells you the output based on your stick position, okay? Let me exaggerate that so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's say your rate was 50%. That means that at the maximum stick position, you have 50% output. Look at the aileron. Now, when I go to 100%, watch what happens. Holding the stick still, it doubles the throw. Okay, halves the throw. Now, the thing that's hard about expo for people when explaining it is that expo has to do with a curve instead of a straight line, right, on the chart. So let's say we set 75% for the top rate, which is what we're gonna do, plus 40% expo. And in the middle, we still have 100% output, but we want more expo. Let's do 30. And then at this setting, we're doing 10. Now, why are we doing such a huge range? Well, firstly, because I've listened to what the other guys said, and they were running like 60, 70% rates. And I don't typically like to fly with lower rates, so I run a little bit higher expo or higher gains on AS3X. But there is a trade-off. When you have more gains on ES3X, when you're flying fast in a straight line, your plane will tend to oscillate because every environmental impact that lifts the wing, it's gonna try to correct. Then it induces an overcorrection. And it will get worse and worse and worse until everything blows up and everybody dies. Or you slow down. And then the oscillation stops because then it can keep up, right? So I'm gonna do this same setting. It's a little bit more advanced than what we would normally do, but since I have a little bit of foreknowledge, I'll go ahead and take advantage of it, right? So we're gonna do that on all three axes. So it's gonna be 110. In the middle setting where I'm gonna start flying, it's gonna be 130. And then it's gonna be 75 and 40, which is a lot, okay? You know what? Let's go even higher. No, 50, you can't do that with AS3X. Yes, you can. All right, then we're gonna do elevator. We're gonna assign it to the same switch. We're gonna set it to 10. And then we'll make adjustments when we land on the first flight. And we will act accordingly. We'll set whatever, you know, say we end up going up to this setting, but we feel it's a little bit spongy, then we can make adjustments here, or we can make adjustments on the plane. But the idea is you take off, not enough control authority, you go here. Too much control authority, you go there. You get it to the ground, and then you make some accommodation to make that your new middle setting. Then you have even more and even less for the next time, in case it's extra windy or it's extra, you know, extra rough or whatever. You're having a bad day, a little bit too much drinking. Oh wait, we don't do that, guys. Don't drink and fly. It's a big issue, I guess. So we're gonna do 30 and 100, whoops. And then at the top of the setting, we're gonna do 50 and 75. There's 75. Okay, so now we're gonna start in the middle and we're gold. Then we aren't gonna do differential. Differential has to do with the difference between the left and the right ailerons. You'll notice that they're both going up and yet the outputs are opposite as expected. That's good. Doesn't really matter, just wanted to let you know. You can do digital switch setup too, but we're not gonna do that right now. That's what some people have been doing for like thrust reverse, as opposed to the mixes, hon. Did you know about that? That's what some of the feedback has been. Just do it there instead of the mixing. Well, whatever, I'm just familiar with mixing. Plus mixing is more reverse compatible because people can mix with any radio system. Okay, flap system, we have that inhibited currently. Obviously that was a switch that was screwing with us earlier, which was super annoying. I don't know what the heck happened there. So we're gonna go ahead and scroll down, inhibit, or instead of inhibit, it's gonna be B. The speed is going to be 2 seconds since we're already there. And then in position 1, you can see there's nothing going on with the ailerons. See what happens? Look, they're lifting simultaneously. That would be a spoileron because they still act as ailerons, but they point up. This would be neutral, and then this would be, see how it's going up? See how it's going down? Okay, so that's minus 100. That's neutral, and then that would be a spoileron configuration. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the neutral. I'm actually gonna set so that I have a flap system, okay? So this is gonna be like a takeoff flap. We'll do like 35%, and then we'll set this to neutral. So I'm not even gonna set up spoilerons. If they don't work well, I might introduce these in reverse. Roll left, roll right, roll left, roll right. That's what flaperons do. They act as flaps and ailerons. Now, if you're familiar with jets, particularly fighter jets, they're very heavy. They're very freaking full of fuel, like thousands of gallons of fuel, literally, not exaggeration. And the front edge has a slat that goes down and changes the shape of the wing, and the flap goes down. So they really aggressively changed the shape of the wing to make them fly at slower speeds because they're freaking heavy. They're like got titanium on them. Titanium is heavy. Okay? And plus when you shoot it, it's strong, okay? With like a gun. Because these are weapons of war. They're killing machines. Well, this is a training machine for later adjustment into killing machines. I think this one can be equipped with weapons still. But at this time, I don't think they're using it weaponized yet. Okay, so takeoff flaps, landing flaps. Now we don't have any elevator correction, and this is where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so elevator correction would look something like this, okay? So there's your correction, right? It's exaggerated to show. I don't know how much you're gonna need. If you're gonna need any, I guarantee it's not gonna be that much. But just keep in mind, when your flaps are activated, you're gonna have some elevator correction, okay? I don't know how much it might be. I'm thinking let's just set, at first, let's go to like 5, and then let's go to like 8, okay? So takeoff flaps, landing flaps. And if you're not sure what direction things are going because it's such a small change, you can actually look down here on your monitor. So it says -5 and then -8. -5, -8. And it's going to deploy them at the same speed here. So that's 2 seconds. You can actually set that longer if you want. There's 4 seconds. You're like, but that didn't take 4 seconds, Brian. That's because the full deployment from +100 to 0 to -100, and we're only usually going half of that range, okay? So if you have a tendency to balloon when you deploy your flaps, one way to fix it is to make the deployment speed longer or to use elevator correction or just slow your plane down. 3 ways. We're gonna set it like that. Guys, please do me a favor. When you're watching these videos and you're like trying to follow along, don't ask me what the settings are. I can't remember. We have too many planes. You gotta watch the video. In the maiden flight, I will almost certainly adjust that. So if you're watching this and you're like, wait, Brian, earlier in the video, I know. People wanna see the build at the end because they wanna see me sucking up mosquitoes and moths and cats playing in boxes at the end of the video because only a very, very small group of you people are dedicated like we are to watching this whole 3-hour video of excellence, dropping things and putting in parts wrong. Mm-hmm. Okay?
And we're under 15% on your phone, so you're gonna have to start talking.
We're gonna have to get this done. All right, so now we're done with all the setup. And now we need to do forward programming. Forward programming actually goes quick because we're almost done, okay? Forward programming, I'm serious.
Sure.
So I click forward programming. Now it's in here, it's thinking. Now it's decided to go ahead and bring up the settings. Gyro settings, first time setup. Takes a second, we're using telemetry to do all this. Make sure the model has been configured, including wing type. We did all that crap. Any changes, you have to do the initial, the reverse, first, oh gosh, I can't say it. It says relearn servo positions. Okay, set the model level and continue. Set the model on its nose and press continue. Okay, so I'm gonna get continue ready. Then spatially, I like to keep it in the same position. I don't wanna like put it on the ground because some of these receivers have, there's a plastic tip on here so you can lay it down. Now I'm gonna click the continue. Now it says standby, and it gives us an orientation for us to then confirm. We are gonna open this and see if it's right. That antenna works really nice, actually. Look, the AR631, you see how that's laid out in the image? That is correct. Okay, so now that that is correct, the receiver is going to be capable of correcting for the correct direction of change spatially. Okay? So now I'm going to hit continue to acknowledge that. Gain channel select. I want to use the knob. I don't want gear. Might as well use aux 3 because it's not hooked to anything. Okay? So that was easy. Then apply. Look. That was one dance. That means AS3X is active. That's 2. That'd be safe, okay? So it's rebooted. You click list again. You go back into forward programming. Now it gets to where we have to set up safe. Gyro settings, click. Flight mode setup. Let's see if this is done. Should be. AS3X is active. The flight mode channel is channel A. Gear. There goes the British chick blabbing on and on. So on channel 1, on mode 1 and mode 3, it's active. That's what we want. You see how I shut her up? I just hit back. That's kind of a cool feature. Then we have to go to the first time safe setup. This is already, the flight mode setup is already on A. Continue. Next. Next. Level, model, and capture attitude. Click. You can make small adjustments here if necessary. Next.
Flight mode 2.
I want it on mode 3. That's when I have this switch pulled back. I want it off on that one. So flight mode 2, or 3 in this case.
Flight mode 1. Flight mode 2. Flight mode 1.
Okay? Now watch, it's gonna dance again. Safe. All right, so it's rebooting and I'm gonna click list. Now let's check this out. Safe is active all the time. AS3X is only active after you give throttle to 25%. You'll note it's not correcting, nothing's happening. Ooh, now it is. It's trying to level the aircraft. Look at the elevator, trying to bring it. Now look, it's trying to bring it level. Now look at the ailerons. When I flip this plane over, find the middle. Ooh, fastest route level. That's the faster route. That's the faster route, okay? Now watch the rudder. Nothing. Because safe only deals with bank and kick, but AS3X deals with all 3 axes. So now, throttle cut is currently on. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna give it some throttle. Throttle has been activated, and yes, that's pretty intense. Press clear, throttle cut's back on. AS3X will be active now. Okay, everything is working in the correct direction, but you can't see, and so we're gonna change it so you can. There's a knob here. I set that earlier, you may have noticed. See how there's a very minimal change. It's barely on, and it's a lot more on.
That was profound.
That's a lot more on. Did you catch that? Forward programming, gyro settings, AS3X. This is the gain sensitivity 4 times. Watch this. Okay, see how much it's changing? See how little it's changing? Now look, the roll axis, when I lift the wing, it's gonna go up, down, up, down. Because we have flaperons, you have to look at both. When I go up, this should go up, down. I'm rolling it on the roll axis, so it's better to hold by the fuse. Down, up, up. I'm looking and I'm rolling. Up, down, down. Now elevator, up, down. Look down the length of the plane with me. See this? Up, down, okay? Now look at the wheel with me. I'm gonna go that way, it's gonna turn against it. Oh, no, it didn't. You wanna know why? Because the rudder is always backward from what you think it should be, okay? Why is that?
Why?
Hold on, let's just make sure we don't have it wrong. It's going the correct direction. But if this was mounted back here, okay? If this was mounted back here, it'd be going the right direction. It's on the front half of the aircraft. Typically the rudder's back here. AS3X doesn't know any better, okay? So when you're going down the road and the nose goes this way, it is correcting the correct direction. It's trying to pull the nose over. You see that? Look, it's trying to go that way. Do you see that?
Okay.
Well, wait, no, that would induce, no, because if it's going this way, the wheel should go that way to straighten it.
Yeah.
See? And then same is true there. But it always seems backward to me. It's so weird, and I've done this a million times. I'm gonna move the nose that way. Watch what happens. Okay. So when you get to rolling down the road, you'll be able to tell what's going on better, okay? Just take my word for it. The wheel is always confusing, okay? It does look like it's gonna, yeah, because it's gonna resist the motion of the nose. Now, if you had rudders on the plane, it's a lot easier to tell because you're sitting here looking at this. As you move the tail toward the camera crew, it would point towards you, like that, or like this. Now listen, I'm using the knob. That's all the way down. That's all the way up, okay? This is probably gonna be too much correction. That's off, that's all the way on, and that's halfway, okay? I do that so you can see and verify the direction of travel. You have to do this step. If you don't, I'm gonna give you a 50% guarantee you're gonna crash your plane. It's gonna be garbage and you're gonna be like, Brian, what did I do wrong? This. Did I sound angry enough? Okay, please, seriously. I've crashed planes. My grandpa built a plane for 7 months. I crashed it in 10 seconds because I didn't check that. He's dead now. He passed away a few years ago.
Not because of the plane.
Not because of the plane, no, but it was great. We shared lots of years of doing that and it was a great thing. So anyway, I'm gonna put it at 2 times. We'll start there, okay?
Okay.
Now, you can, this is the other thing. Since you're in this menu, is that gonna be enough? I'm not sure. Is that gonna be enough? I'm not sure. I almost feel like maybe we need to have it a little higher on this plane. I'd rather have it too much and I can turn it down.
Well, I mean, you usually do 1 time, so 2 is already more, but you can turn it down.
I can turn it down.
5%.
Okay, so I can turn it down. Let's just do 2. Now, fixed adjustable gain. They're all adjustable already. That's what we want. Then let's capture gyro gains. Now look what's gonna happen. Oh, look, there's numbers. Great. You can go in and make an adjustment to any of those gains individually by changing them from fixed to adjustable, okay? When they're adjustable, you can adjust them here. When they're fixed, you can go in and change them, okay? So capture gyro gains, you can actually highlight each of those variables. So for instance, See how that number goes up? You can make it so that the pitch value goes up more all the time based on that, if you find that there's not enough correction on that axis. Okay, I'm not gonna get into the weeds any deeper on that. At this point, we basically have everything set up. Let's check safe. Okay, this is our final check. Okay, so elevator up, elevator down. It's small, but I can see it. Aileron up, aileron down, aileron up and down. We're in safe, out of safe, up, down, up, down, up, down. And it doesn't matter what position you're in. And then the rudder, the steerable nose gear seems to be going backwards, so it's working. All right, the last thing. All right, we gotta try it. We're gonna do just a little taxi test. Just a little taxi test. I actually really love setting these planes up. Oh, that is so cool. Man, that's got a tight turning radius. Let's do a little ride around the kitchen. Oh yes, that looks so cool. Oh man, I love the way it pivots on that front wheel. It's gonna be terrible going down the runway though. I might need to turn up the gyro big time on that. Oh, that is so cool. Really good ground handling. I wonder if I can turn around here. You think I can, like aircraft carrier style? Oh man, that is so freaking cool. Holy crap, I can't believe we can do that.
4 feet.
All right, guys. Okay, so there you have it. Throttle cuts on. This plane is beautiful. We have takeoff flaps. Good. Okay, landing flaps. Good. Everything is working. Let's try safe with flaps. Good. Everything on this plane has been vetted to the extent that I am 100% confident that when we fly it, it's gonna work good. Now, what do we do? What's the next step and the last step in forward programming setup?
Power cycle.
Power cycle, the whole shebang, everything. Power off. Power off. How are we doing on battery? Can you tell?
Nope.
Okay. Powering it back on in the correct order. Throttle cuts on. Expo's in the middle. All the switches are correct. And here we go, guys. If you haven't already bought this plane, check the link in the video description below. You'll be supporting us if you buy the stuff from those links. You're gonna buy it anyway. Buy it from our channel. You'll help support us. Okay, great. So now we take off flaps, we landing flaps, we elevator up, we roll left, we roll right, we yaw left, we yaw right, we throttle cut off, we throttle. Then we change gains up, and down. Everything is working. Safe is working. So, guys, this plane looks like it's gonna be awesome. I hope it's half as awesome as I think, because we sure spent a lot of time setting it up. Guys, we do that for you. I don't need safe. I don't use safe. I'll probably show safe, but the practical reality is I don't need safe. I haven't needed it for a few years now, but it is cool to have, especially on crazy 3D planes. It is very nice, or helicopters. I love it on helicopters because I'm not very good at helicopters. But here's the thing. You too can be just as good, if not a lot better than me. If you're flying at zero, you have no experience, Brian Phillips RC is a channel for you. We will take you from zero to hero in no time at all. I've only been doing it 6 years. So if you want to be flying like me or better, here's the key. Get in the air, get yourself a simulator, follow the rules, whatever it is that they are tomorrow, because they're made up, most of them anyway. And you'll love it. Flying is so much fun. It's the most immersive RC experience, and we are here to help support you on your journey into self-reliance. At which point you can dump us like an old ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, which will make us, it will break our hearts. But it's all right, we'll survive. Guys, NX8's been great. We haven't had a lot of problems. We updated firmware recently, went smooth. Wi-Fi's been working good. If you get it where it just log jams on you, check your internet connection. If your internet's really slow, sometimes that screws things up. Take it to work with you using a better internet connection there or something like that. It might help. Also, Smart packs have been working out great. We're really happy with them. We're gonna try to fly this on 2200 4S Gen 1 or Gen 2 and then 2700 4S Gen 1 so you can see what both of them look like. We haven't marked the CG, but we can check it real quick here. CG is pretty much right where it needs to be, where we've got the battery. That would be fair for a Maiden. We might want to push it back a little bit to get a little bit better roll authority there, or not roll authority so much, but flying these little jets sometimes in a somewhat tail heavy configuration is not terrible because you want to roll to slow the plane down and flare to slow a plane down. But if you flare too much, it'll tip to one side or the other in a stall, which in the RC world we like to call tip stalls, but in the real world they're called stalls. Have I missed anything? All right, we are out of time. Guys, buy one from the link below. Best audience in YouTube. Come back for more. Check the playlist if you want to see more about this plane. There will be more. All right, folks, just a little bit more. We actually ran out of battery, which is unfortunate. So one issue on this plane that I've seen from the other guys is that it rolls kind of weird because the center of gravity is basically about the edge of this plastic here. Let's just call it easily, okay? So let's figure on, we're centered out pretty good right there, okay? Well, the landing gear comes straight down here, right? And they are straight, they're square when you get them. I want to change the shape so that they lean forward like this, okay? If you do that, I'm gonna show you how I did it. The gear, the wheels come off really easy. These are 2-inch wheels, by the way, if you decide to do a low bounce. There's a snap ring that has to be taken off, pretty easy stuff. And then there is a collar that goes out and a collar that's flat. I'm gonna go like this so they stick out further. And you'll note that that is square. This one is not, it's pointed in. Because when you bend from here, it makes this wheel kind of come in at an angle, right? So I'm just gonna show you how to get it to be like that, but yet still be square. So the easiest way to do it in my experience is once you get the snap ring off, leave it off until you're all done and you have everything square, okay? So we can leave that one off. The way I took mine off is I used the edges of a Phillips screwdriver, one of the China screwdrivers, and I put my finger sort of in front of it and I just grab and I will hold the opposite side. And it's hard to show, but you see how it popped off? Mm-hmm. Then I just real carefully drop it down next to the other one. Okay, then you can see there's obviously an angle here. That's because I took my crescent wrench and I clamp it down on here just because it's easy. And then I can just bend it forward to my heart's content, okay? Now we just have to straighten that control or that direction. So you can either hold there and bend or you can hold here and bend. So I want to bend it so that it squares up. So I'm just gonna, and this is just a little bit of an art and feel thing. I mean, you're not, it's just like a music wire, it's just thick music wire. Okay, so we're pretty flat here, and the way you can test that is to hold this and look. Okay, so we're a little bit kicked up here. So I'm gonna take this and just brace the whole shebang. And if you need to use 2 different crescent wrenches, that's fine, or a clamp. I find it's easiest just to get it up against your belly and just hold it into your core and you can control it. See how that looks a lot better there? And then I'm just gonna pivot it on the table or the counter. This one needs to come up a little bit from this angle. See how as I pivot it, that picks up off of the edge, so I need to go back just a hair. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making small adjustments until I have it basically square to one another. And you can make small adjustments pretty easy. So as I look down the length, we're getting closer and closer. And that's probably about right, because a little bit of toe in is okay. This needs to come up just a hair. A little bit of toe out is not okay. It is harder than it looks to get these things square, and I may experience a little bit more tracking issues than if I were to just leave it otherwise as stock. But I really want this plane to roll at the right time and have a good behavior with its roll. That may not be enough to make the difference I want, and it might also make the plane sit back when you pull the battery out, which is unfortunate. Okay, so you can see now you can just kind of, what I'm doing is I'm sighting down the length of the plane and I just get my alignment that way, right? So then what I can do is I can just plop these in real quick because we're super close. Okay, so I gotta get those screws started. And the reason we show you all these steps is because I literally will forget how I did it. And then somebody's gonna ask me in like 6 years, they're gonna be like, hey Brian, what did you do to make your plane roll better than, you know, the RC Informer or Ryan or whoever it was that you guys are watching? And that's fine. I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys. I'm just saying this is something I think is super easy to change, and it's not like you have to spend any extra, replace it with different aftermarket parts, anything like that. It's just a small gripe that I think I'm gonna have, and so I'm just gonna resolve it before it's a gripe. You may have noticed that sometimes when we build planes, we wait and do second thoughts videos a lot on this channel. But sometimes we just like to get it done the first time. This is one of those planes. You know why? Because I already know it's gonna be a gripe and I just wanna have it right. So even that little bit, that 1 3/4 inch or 1 inch adjustment forward, now I don't have snap rings on so the wheels will, you see I brought that thing forward almost, I would say most of the wheel. Because you see the edge of the wheel is now over that. That will make a difference. It's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be better than it would have been otherwise. So now I feel like that's good. Obviously you could taxi it around, but I'm feeling pretty confident about that. I feel like the alignment's good. So let's go ahead and pop these back on. To get a snap ring on is super easy. You basically just slide it in here. It's a little bit awkward, but it's not hard. Okay, once you get it on there, see how it's slid on? It's not all the way down though. Then you can use a needle nose pliers or a pliers or something like this. Are you getting my hair in that shot there?
I'm not.
Because I could feel it on my head.
Oh.
Okay, so now that that one's on, we'll just go ahead and do the other one real quick. And you're not gonna be able to see anything, so we can probably pause until this one goes on. So the needle nose pliers does make it quite a bit easier to get them started like this. Once you get it on the groove, then you can just, whoops, these things always have a mind of their own. I do not want to screw up the beautiful finish on this plane. I love this gray, by the way. It is a very good gray. I know that sounds stupid, but there's a lot of details on planes that, you know, we get really into the weeds on our channel. But I love it when a gray is a scale looking gray. Oh yeah, nice. See how it still spins smooth? Now let's show these guys an example of taxiing real quick. And I want to show you the second thing I changed and the third thing I changed from what you guys saw just a few short minutes ago. Throttle cuts off. As you can see, it tracks just fine. Look how sharp this thing turns. Watch this. Look at this. This is just insane. I can turn around on the floor in the kitchen. That is incredible. But then watch this, okay? Do you want that much when you're taking off or landing? No. Exactly. So check this out. So with takeoff flaps, I can still turn just as sharp, okay? With landing flaps, look at this. You're like, well, how did you do that? Super easy. So when takeoff flaps are deployed, that I mixed out 75%. I might need to do more. With takeoff flaps off, that's the output. Excuse me, with landing flaps. So just landing flaps. So takeoff flaps, I can still give it full authority, and we're golden. Now, we could also mix the flap setting for that particular expo mode, but we didn't do it that way. I made a different mix, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it right now. And then also, listen.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
Safe.
Safe mode.
AX3X. So there's no guesswork. Okay, throttle cuts on. It's a nice feature to have that. I'll show you how to do that too. So first, we'll go to mixing and show you the rudder to rudder mix. You'll see it looks like nothing. Throttle cut is on, by the way. When I get over here, nothing. When I get up here, we're -75. It's a rudder into a rudder at a rate of -75 to -75. And you only turn off these ones. So like if you wanted on takeoff flaps, it'd be the same thing. So If you look at the rudder now, or the steerable nose gear, okay, so this is the full output there. It's the full output there, and then when you come out of it, that's the full output. So go to take off, locks the wheel down to just have a small amount of play, and then full landing flaps. So you can actually set this to where it's active in nothing in the regular mode, something here, and then something else here. You can make that a lot, and then you can make this just a little bit more or a little bit less. Depends on how you want to do it. So we'll find out if that's going to be an issue. Now look at the side. You see how those wheels track forward a little bit? That's going to mean that it's going to roll a little bit more naturally like a real plane would. You don't typically want the center of gravity so far back. You know, if you're back another inch, it's going to roll a lot weirder, because what's going to happen is you have to get your airspeed so high that you're basically flying on the ground. And then when you roll, you'll go up like this. So you look like a rocket ship. And it's not a good look, okay? And also it feels weird when you're flying. So we have takeoff flaps. They didn't have takeoff flaps. We have our wheels forward. They didn't have their wheels forward. Now let's talk about audio events real quick. So to get the audio events so that when you go from AS3X,
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
I've showed this before. This is totally an optional thing. Go down to audio events, go to flight modes. It's going to say flight mode 1 and flight mode 1. Then you go to the speak, you click, and you scroll all the way. You see how far down that list is? Look how long this list is. Was this AS3X? So there's AS3X mode and the
AS3X mode.
test, and then you just scroll into here and you just literally type in whatever you want it to say on the display. Okay? Then when you flip the switch,
Safe mode.
it's going to let you change the value for that switch setting. Very simple. It just takes forever to scroll down to those because there's like 4,000. Now I want to show you one other thing. We found a glitch in the NX8 and it's weird. So when you go into the speak mode or the speak sound select, if you scroll all the way to the top, we'll just show you this real quick. If you get into this situation, we know how to resolve it. It's pretty easy. Oh my goodness, that's what I'm talking about, guys. Look how long it takes to scroll. There's a lot of choices. You want to know why? Because look. Select category, then you can scroll down to things like general or flight modes. See this? And you'll notice that there isn't even a safe or AS3X in here, right? Come on, Ryzen. You know, so if you hit back, then you go to select category, then you can go to user defined. You can actually make your user defined. There's also system. Again, don't know where it is.
Transmitter 3.8 volts.
So anyway, so it's really cool, but the thing is, all sounds list, we got ourselves in here to where we could not exit the menu. Like it wouldn't let us out. We'd hit back and it would just keep going into this like circulation. It was weird. So I'm going to scroll all the way down and it's almost to the bottom. Was that AS
You
or?
passed it. No, you're safe.
Safe mode.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
AS.
Now those are within a couple of each other,
Yeah.
by the way. Okay. So now we can hit back and it walks out just fine. But if you do that in the wrong order, I'm just warning you, something I did got me stuck in there. And I was like, get over here. What am I doing wrong? I can't figure out what's going on. I couldn't exit the menu. So I set it the way I wanted it. And then I ultimately just powered the transmitter down, powered it back up. Everything was fine. So it didn't damage anything. It's not like you're going to be setting that while you're flying. But I got into a nested loop where I couldn't get out. So that was very weird. Anyway, guys, this plane's going to be cool. I'm super excited to see it fly. Obviously, we have a couple of extra adders there with that forward adjustment on the landing gear. We have the AS3X in safe mode turned on. And then, of course, we have takeoff flaps, landing flaps, and then we reduce the amount of play in landing flap mode so that the steerable nose gear is less insane. All right, guys, you've seen it all here. That's all we've got. The next time you see this, you'll probably be seeing a second thoughts video. You've already seen the flight. You've already seen the Maidens and how awesome they were. We hope they were. Maybe we'll pull off the landing gear and do some grass landings for you too. But either way, this plane looks cool. We're very excited to be working with XFly. They have some good stuff coming out. And by the way, price points are pretty good. These are good planes. They are not bad planes. We had issues with one thing on this plane, and that was tightening the stupid thing right there. Yep. That was the only problem on this plane. And on this plane, the assembly went almost flawlessly. We had trouble with the plugs getting into the hole on the rudder, or vertical stabilizer. If this was a Dynam, those would both be the best step. Yep. Seriously. All right, guys, Brian Phillips RC has your back. We're gonna help you to make the insanely simple, complex, but awesome at the same time. I mean, we're not doing this because it's like efficiency. Nobody really needs to fly an RC plane except for me and you and thousands of other people. We need it. We really do. Please let us buy another plane. Come back for more.